Welcome to the Nick and Matt Show. Bringing the player interviews you want to hear and the hot topics you want to discuss. Recording live in studio. Here's Nick and Matt.
Oh, no. Did this really just happen? It did. Okay, so we're full screen on me right now. It is rare time when Matt just starts the show, me. Matt. But I am joined with Evan, which you can put him full screen for a second or two. What's up, Evan?
How's it going?
Dylan, baby.
And then
let's go, James White, actually, but I love it.
Okay, we got to get you some backlights. I just realized. Then we'll be really like blued, like to match the show.
Yeah, I gotta have something fancy behind me.
Gosh.
And Nick, do you want to give us the intro? Go ahead.
Yeah, are we actually like straight up live?
Oh, we're straight up live, man. Welcome back.
Nice.
His camera, everybody, just cut out, just like right as we started. There you go.
My internet keeps getting all janky on me, but anyways, hello everybody. Welcome to episode 112, presented by Cosmic Disc Golf. Thank you for joining us tonight. I'm sure Matt has already said all of those things, but hopefully my internet will be a little bit more low key. All of a sudden I came in and we were talking about Evan's lighting, so I was like, oh, maybe we haven't started yet, but anyway.
Yeah. Episode 112, presented by Cosmic Disc Golf, this episode, and you can check them out at Cosmic Disc Golf. Have a Cosmic Day is one of their things. You can find them on Instagram at their website, cosmicdg.com, new and used discs and other assortment of initiatives. Get excited. Go check them out. Cosmic Disc Golf, again, at Instagram, Cosmic Disc Golf as well. So, Nick, you said episode 112. I've said this over and over and over since episode like 20. Like, wow, we never thought we'd be here.
Yeah, I know, right?
So tell us the short version of what happened at Goliath, the course that you've worked so hard on, like down there in Lynchburg area, or Good.
No, it was awesome. We officially opened up to the public last week. We had kind of a soft launch, and then this past weekend, yesterday and the day before that, we hosted a tournament there. On Sunday, it was the final round of the Battle for Bedford tournament. Brody Smith, Brandon Lotta, Cody Bradshaw, a lot of great Virginia players were in attendance at this event. And yesterday we, had the first official course record set. We had the first official ace ever by Zach Melton. And it was just all around an incredible time. All the feedback on the course has been insanely incredible. So much work went into it. And during the off season, so much more work will get put into it. But it's definitely been a crazy, awesome experience. How much Discura really stepped up to get everything done. The Peaks and Creeks club around here really stepped up and just running the tournament in general and making it happen again this year. And it was a very, very humbling experience walking up to the parking lot and just seeing, 80 plus cars there. It was really, really cool.
A lot of hard work went into that, Nick. I'm sure you felt proud for it. And can you tell me the ace that Zach Melton had was an ace on the perfect round baskets from, is that true? From, what's the name of the course? Toboggan.
Yeah. Yep. From D-Glow back in 2018. Yeah. So he has an ace on them.
Yeah. Cool experience for him as well. Is he the only guy to ever have an ace on those baskets? Like after Paul's win, did they pull the baskets from the ground at D-Glow?
I'm not sure how soon after. I know when he had kind of switched to Discraft, that was one of the gifts that they gave him. And which obviously was the next year. And so I would assume more than likely that probably was the first ever ace. I don't really know of any.
Wait, I'm gonna hop in here.
Holes over at Toboggan. So,
yeah, has D-Glow ever had an ace?
No, pretty awesome. That course, definitely a really cool feeling. Really
set up for it besides maybe hole 16, but to digress.
D-Glow, yeah. How many aces
just
does D-Glow have?
Yeah, that's a fun kind of topic.
I feel like Evan's talking and we can't hear him.
No, whose stat is that? That would be a UDIS stat, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
Well, I think it would have to go back even further.
Evan's muted.
They have. I'm muted?
No, he's not.
You can't hear him, Nick. This happened. Remember this happened to us before?
Yeah.
Where you
But I can hear Nick.
Yeah.
No, you're fine on our side, Ben. This happened. Remember you were like, I forget who it was. Who was it? Where you're like, I'll just sit and wait.
That's how I was. Yeah, I forget who it was, but if I click out of the link and come back in, will I be able to hear him?
Possibly, but you kind of did that when you crashed in the first place. But that's okay. Let's go. We'll go back up on me. We'll wait for you. So
let me try.
All right. Well, hey, I got something to add real quick.
Yeah.
If I can have the floor. So right before the show, we were talking, were there any exciting events that happened this past weekend? And I just pulled a quick list of all the winners. You know who won an event and did incredibly well rating wise this weekend?
Who won an event?
Manabu Kajiyama wins the first Maiko Classic in Nagata, Japan, and I'm going to get roasted for my pronunciation. I apologize ahead of time. He posted at a 1072 event rating, and I pulled it up real quick. His round ratings through it were 1078, 1073, 1070, and 1065 in the final round. He actually shot a 49 in every single round, and I think it was the same layout, which is kind of impressive,
Ratings
but then
are
also
messed up. No.
kind of funny that the ratings continually went down when he played exactly the same. But yeah, you're always going to have the whole ratings talk. But in a vacuum, like that's incredibly impressive. I mean, putting up a 1070 round on a weekend is incredibly good. But I had one more thing to add is the Oklahoma Open happened. Kat Mersch took it down in FPO. She put up a 1038 rated round, which is the highest rated FPO round on the season. Kristen Tatar previously had the 2 best, with the 3rd being tied with Paige Pierce at 1033, and Kat Mersch beats it.
Wow. So we don't always do reviews like after the season's done, but if it's someone we know, we're down for it. We just don't want to hit deep in the, we don't know who they are. We're just interested. Unless something amazing happens, I guess, like another perfect round on like, I don't know, Maple Hill Gold. Someone is able to do it in a sanctioned event. We'll probably talk about it.
Yeah, I would say so.
So, cool. All right. So we had a little weird start here. I wondered what happened at one point there, Nick. You were talking, and then Evan's like, "Hey, can I say something?" And you were just like, "Nope."
Well, yeah, I like saw his mouth moving, and I was like, "Oh, he's muted," and that's why I was like, "Oh, I'll finish up the sentence," and then I was like, "Oh, Evan's muted," but I can hear him now.
It's so funny how that happens.
But we just cut each other off on the show anyway.
Yeah, that's
so
funny. That's funny.
Yeah.
So okay, we have Jeff Spring coming on tonight. He's an important man, busy man. He had to even push back a little bit. We had a schedule for him, but man, he is busy, and man, he's important. So no, he's got a life, of course, just like everyone else. Nick and Matt show is not that big of a deal.
It's the biggest.
It's the biggest.
Well, they have the Lake Marshall Open coming up, which I will be attending, and it is
Silver
the
Series.
Are you
technical
playing?
first. Yeah, oh yeah,
Nice.
it is the first Silver Series event for the 2023 season.
That's right.
So pretty awesome. A lot of big names dropped out of it, actually. Like Ricky was originally attending. He dropped out. I think Eric Earthy was originally attending. He dropped out. And
I
was
don't know
kind of
why
just like,
I'm laughing, but I feel like it has something to do with the Big Skins match, just burning them out. But anyways,
Probably.
we will talk
Probably.
about that event. We will get to it because we know everyone wants to know. I don't know why they want to know our opinions, but they want to have someone talking about it so they can think about it. And so we'll do that for you. Okay.
I'm actually curious about something real quick before we
Yes.
get into the Lake Marshall. Well, talking about the Lake Marshall Open. Is it the 2023 season, or are we going to start calling it the 2022 to 2023 season, kind of like NBA, NHL does?
So 22-23 season.
oh gosh, yeah.
yeah,
Probably.
just curiosity. It'll depend. Probably year to year, right? Like,
I mean,
you know,
I
we'll have to
think
get
it
used to
would
it.
be.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I think it would be 22-20-23 because if you don't do that, then you have to stop taking stats. Like, you know what I mean? Like, you'd be like, no, if we're not calling it 22-23, then we only start our stats in like January 1 of 2023. And that's not the case. I think you would go back because we're already doing Player of the Year awards. We're already doing everything based off of to this point, right?
Mhm.
Like, so I think you have to start including this. That's a good question.
So yeah, I guess we have now the 2022-2023 season, and then next year the 2023-2024.
Can we say
they just made it
2020 so many
confusing.
times?
Yeah.
Just 22.
Isn't it
hard?
23.
Yeah.
At least we're not saying Field of Strength. I did
Yeah,
that.
I know, right?
I did that the next week, or I did it on league night. I did something. I was
Yeah.
so upset. I just kept saying it. So Strength of Field. All right. Let's jump into a topic while we get ready for Jeff Spring, who won't be on for about 30 more minutes or so. Let's go ahead and jump right into it. The fun will begin when we bring up the GK Pro Big Money Skins match. And I use the word debacle. So
I think that's the word everyone's throwing around now at this point.
yeah, and so can we I'm just squeaking here. We brought it up last week and we said, oh, maybe we can get the GK Pro guys on last week. We were going to talk about it. Smashbox was able to talk to them and got a lot of, hyped. This is going to be amazing. You look at the announcements they had leading up to it. You hear things like, we brought in a professional. This is the first time ever, a professional broadcast, like live broadcast, company. Luke Humphreys was on social media, saying that leading up to it. And I want to be clear, they're all saying what they understood to be true. but this is what was being announced and what it is. I don't know if poo-poo's the right word, but I kind of poo-pooed on the idea of this match play being that exciting. I don't think it was related to how I thought it was going to be broadcasted. So I don't want to like play that down. But in my head, when we were talking about the value, right? I think Evan, you and Hannah and me, and we were kind of talking about the value of an event like that. I don't think $15 is bad value for a live produced event. In my mind, I'm thinking, professionally done, DGN or other of that nature, right? Or better. But I kind of got nervous. I was definitely in it to buy it, like in it to subscribe. Evan, like you were too. I was in it. I got nervous leading up to like the day of when I couldn't find much. Like I looked around. I'm like, I can't find much information. There's a little bit how to buy it, but there's not much how to watch it. Scheduling, everything, right? There was just not enough. I did not purchase it. And I said, I'm going to wait to hear. If it starts to sound really good, I'll jump in on it. And then it started to sound really bad. Nick dropped out, by the way. That's why I continue to talk here. We'll get Nick's opinion and Evan. But it started to sound really bad. And it's just social media starting to spread the idea of I'm staring at a fountain like 95% of the live feed. And I'm like, oh boy, they didn't prepare on this. They don't have enough cameras, something along those lines. Eventually, apparently it got so bad, like between their live disc golf platform, that was a website, that they actually canceled that. Like, we aren't doing the website. Everyone go over to GK Pro and watch live. They get over to GK Pro to watch live, and everybody's getting a horrible experience now. Like I said, staring at a fountain or 20 minutes in a booth listening to some commentator nobody knows talk to one of the pros that they'll bring in after their rounds. And even then, there was periods of 10 minutes of time or longer where you would see mouths moving in the commentary booth and not hear anybody. And to the point where I was like, is something wrong with my TV? So I would text somebody and they'd be like, no, it's not on my side either. So the long story short is they ended up opening it up free for everybody to watch. And I'm going to react to that. And then I'm just interested in feedback from all of you. I first thought, and I think I texted the group, hey, they opened it up for, like someone said they opened it up free for live. And I thought to myself, that's probably a really bad idea. Now you're taking it for the subscribers and now you're promoting to the world how bad it was. Like, it's just going to be like compounded. Good news, they said they were refunding everybody. That's why they made it free for everybody. They're refunding everybody. But man, there's a lot of details here. But I'm interested in your initial reactions. How did you feel when you heard it? What did you see? And we can talk about like maybe what we think it's going to be like going forward and a few other points. But Evan or Nick, what do you think?
Yeah, so I was kind of feeling what you were thinking, Matt. Like, and it worked out well because I was playing a round of disc golf with Ben down in Connecticut, and so we were playing instead of watching it in the morning. And we were kind of keeping up on updates, like talking about it here and all the grumblings you just mentioned. And it went free. Like, we pulled it up on Ben's phone. We were trying to watch it, like,
You
taking
thought
a
your
break
phone was
during
going.
our round.
Exactly.
I literally was like, Ben, turn it up. Like, what are you doing? Like, I can't hear it. I'm curious. Like, Germ's talking with this random commentator. I wanted to hear him talk, and he's like, it's as loud as possible. And like, he had to like put it up to his ear to hear it. So that just started off of what was to come with watching this. And
Yeah.
I think it's a really there's so much to unpack with this.
Before we unpack it, let's let Nick react and then we'll unpack it. Go ahead, Nick.
Well, fortunately, I was just playing an event this weekend and I was very, very focused on that. And so I didn't really have to worry about, like, normally I would pay for something like this, but I knew I was going to be busy all weekend. I was hosting 7 or 8 people were here actually at my apartment and in the garage and everything. So I knew I was going to have no time to legitimately sit down and watch it. So I didn't pay for it. But then kind of scrolling through Twitter during my rounds or getting like group chat text messages from us and seeing how, big of a flop things turned out and how big of a debacle everything was. And then slowly just getting new and new information throughout the day of what's going on. And if anything, like my biggest thing I feel for the GK Pro guys, I mean, they're an incredible filming crew. They do awesome stuff on YouTube. They do great stuff with the
this
skins
isn't on
matches.
them fully, but we can.
No,
we can
I
unpack
know,
it, yeah.
I know. But you can definitely, there is area to blame in certain, aspects of it. But I don't know. I could definitely see it going this way with how it happened. Was kind of just, hey, let's run this massive skins match and let's hire a company that's not in producing live disc golf. Let's do it at a place where the internet might not be great. Let's do it with people who, pretty much know nothing about disc golf in a sense, but they've poured a lot of money into it. And that's essentially, I think, kind of what happened. And so surprised that it happened this way. I'm a little bit surprised at actually how bad it ended up. I thought there were going to definitely be, things that went wrong, especially, but for it to kind of flop the way that it did. And it went from it's on pay-per-view and then, we're refunding everyone. Like, if any, like I said earlier, this be the last of it for me, is I feel for the GK Pro guys, but I know, they did everything they could filming wise. And whenever that post-round production comes out of the event, Terry Miller, Jeremy Colling just really, I think, kind of stepped it up in their own ways. And I think it was just a little too far out there to achieve in what seems like a short amount of time. And the hype was all there, and it just turned into one of those, you overhype it, and then massive underdelivery of it.
Yes.
And so it's kind of just like, I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm curious what the pluses coming out of it were, except for a player winning $50,000.
I have a few ideas on it.
Yeah.
You can go 3 up because Evan's still here. Nice. I feel like the first plus is that DGN never looked so good. Like, it's like, we love DGN. But what's interesting is, the storylines coming into, a year or two ago is how much everyone hated DGN. Like, it's horrible quality, pixelated Nintendo this, Nintendo that. And I'm like, but what they're actually doing is incredible. Like, I'm talking like instant replays, like multiple camera angles of the replay. Commercial breaks are very limited, right? All of that stuff. Now, and we can hear them. Like, we can hear on-course conversations if they want us to. We are going to the studio. We hear that. Like, they do a lot right. To produce a live broadcast, and Ben can start to attest this. We've been really getting his feet wet.
Yes.
Both over at DGN and here.
Yep.
To produce a live broadcast, Ben, and you're very, like, this is new for you, right? This year is new for you.
Yes.
Like, what's your idea of like the difficulty of just producing live in general?
On the very lower level that I do it on, it's even though I'm the only person that does it for our show, it's pretty stressful to mess up and then have the world see it and then have to go back and try and figure it out. And it's just like the little things you wouldn't expect to go wrong. Like, it seems like a technical difficulty every other week. And yeah, it's definitely a struggle. And then you feel bad. You're like, oh my goodness, I can't believe I let that happen.
Right.
So,
but it's even the intricacies. Like, people don't, I say people, sorry. I want to refer to it this way. A live broadcast is video that you're seeing if you're watching this live YouTube, but it's also audio. And what a lot of people don't realize is a lot of live broadcasts, including ours, are not actually using on-camera microphone. So it's not, our video and audio is not paired up literally directly. Like, I'm talking into a microphone, going into a separate interface altogether from the video. Like, they're two separate things going in, so we can control it separately. They messed up big time. Their audio wasn't working half of the time, and I'm sitting over here not understanding why.
Yeah.
Audio is tough to make sound good, but it's the easier part of getting out to the broadcast. The video, that is easier to understand. That's tough. They're walking around. I heard they laid cables out there. I'm assuming it was fiber, but like the camera guys were just long story short, they hired union guys, is my understanding. A lot of stuff went into this that there was no experience for disc golf. I do feel bad in a lot of ways for GK Pro. I think a lot of lessons learned, so that's another positive, is that, like, vet who you're going with for anything. And one last thing, it was reminiscent to me. It was reminiscent of when Steve Dodge brought the live broadcast in-house. Do you remember that? It was like Smashbox was doing it. And then he goes, we can do that over at the Disc Golf Pro Tour. And he just brought it in-house, grabbed people who he thought could do cameras. And it was a big bad thing too, like bad. Like, remember the advertisement thing they had going? It was weird. There was advertisements constantly, cameras walking down the fairway. It was bad. In my mind, I put them very similarly here, the experience. So lesson learned is that literal experience is huge when it comes to disc golf media. Like, bring an ESPN golf crew out. I think they would do pretty good because they're that professional.
Yeah,
Their quality would look great. But I'm curious even, to see like the flight of a disc. They'd have to learn that on the fly. No pun intended. Pretty proud of myself though. Any takeaways for you, Evan?
Oh, well, yeah, I got a few thoughts on it. I mean, like, one, GK is probably going to catch the most flack. And I think it's because they're the company that everyone sees. But it's one of those things where it was all the other people having faults that it just makes them look bad. Yes, it was on their channel, and they should have kind of done a little bit more due diligence, I think, maybe, to make sure that it was going to be up to quality before it's onto your channel with your fans. But it seemed largely other people messing up that caused the errors. I mean, the company that people are going to talk about for weeks in infamousy. Oh my goodness, I can't speak. Infancy. Is that what I'm going for? I don't know, so. But Mason Agency or Production, like they were hyped as this ESPN-like quality by the Eagles Crossing owner, and even if everything was absolutely perfect and went to the best of their abilities, it was miles away. Like the graphics and just the quality they had looked more like your local news station. Like, I live in a town of 20,000 people. It would be like that news station going out and covering an event.
Yes, I agree. Pause. Go to Ben's green screen real quick. Like, full screen on you, Ben.
Okay.
This, besides his hands getting cut off, like, this quality right here is way better than their green screen was. Do you not agree? Like, I know you guys are getting
They were
lower.
in a green screen? I thought they were just locked in the basement.
No, yes, with a green screen. Okay, you can go back to Evan.
That was like peak AV club of your local high school, right? Like, your high school kids put on an awesome production. Like, that's what it looked like. Which it just screamed like 2008. Like, it could have been better. When they popped up with who the commentators were, it said Big Germ, disc golf commentator. Like, that looked like, again, like an early 2000s news story.
So what you're saying is the Nick and Matt show should go into live broadcasting and we could do better. I don't know. I don't want to get that far
absolutely. But like, just everything from the top down, just there was not a lot of. I'm sure it was a ton of scrambling. There was not a lot of checking and due diligence and making sure people knew what was going on. And I mean, people are going to talk about the commentator, Rich Gould, and I think his job ended up being way harder than he anticipated. He thought he was just going to be there a little bit, but with all the technical difficulties, it ended up being him and Germ for like 75% of the show.
The arm resting around him while he talked is like so. Have you seen those memes yet, Nick?
Oh, it's so bad. Like,
I gotta send you a picture, Nick. If you haven't seen
I was gonna say, I don't think I've seen any of the memes to it. I haven't been on social media too much, but
yeah, you've been busy.
I think this guy maybe did all of like 2 minutes of research, which if you're getting hired to do a job, like, I want to know more. But at the same time, him not knowing things was so, like, there was so much gold from it. One of the very first putts you see Nico Lacaster, who, yes, played in this event because it wasn't PDGA sanctioned, hit like a 25-foot putt, and the guy goes, whammo! Like, that was, I died laughing when that happened.
It was bad, but.
And I think the biggest takeaway from him, and I hope it sticks around, is just, and a player steps up on the slab. Like, that's so good. Like, what a catchy, like, Germ's going to say that next Jonas video. I guarantee it.
There was something. So I'm going to say there was something redeeming or nice quality about the commentator, something. And I don't know if it was the super relaxed, just I'm commentating like golf, right? I wish there was some slights to it, and I don't think he was intentionally doing it, but like undermine, like whammo or things like that, where it was like kind of felt like, what are we talking about? Where Germ goes, at one time Germ turns over and he's like, he goes, that's not what it's called or something, and then he's like, you just made that up right now, right? Like to the guy, and the guy's like, yeah, I don't really call it that. And Jerem's like, yeah, I knew you didn't. Like it was like weird stuff like that.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I just sent you the picture, Nick. If you see it, it's pretty funny. The guy's like arm around Big Germ, like leaning over, and the memes that use this picture are hilarious. Like, so we talked a lot about this. I think you would imagine there might be some attempted lawsuits because you heard there was almost 6-figure going into this production. They ended up canceling because it wasn't as advertised. GK Pro steps up to say they'll produce post round. I don't want to spoil it now, but the Reddit world and everywhere else has told us who won.
Yeah, it's spoiled.
Pat McMahon in our chat says he was there.
I was going to bring him up. Yeah.
Yeah. And he said that the guys on the ground were like running around learning how to film on the spot, like how to do this. And Thomas Gilbert was running around in between people, like trying to get information on like what's going on and where. It was just, I'll just say it without going through it all. It was literally the worst live disc golf broadcast. Not necessarily, how do I say this? Someone said this in a chat. They said, I could go out there with my phone and do a Facebook Live and it would be better. I agree with that aspect of it. I'd be better content. Like I'd be able to actually take in more of what's happening. So in that aspect, I agree. I will say the ability to have multiple cameras is attempt at being better, but the way they pulled it off was horrible. And the audio mishap, everything just together made it horrible, where I would rather watch a Facebook Live with one phone. That's my summary on it. Any other closing thoughts from you guys?
I just have a couple quick more notes. I'll try to be quick with it. But the camera crew, they were union camera people, so they didn't know disc golf, but they knew how to work cameras. Or it seemed like they had terrible filters on sometimes when you were starting it out. It looked like when you go to Mexico in movies and it has that filter on it. But there when it's like all like orangey,
sepia.
You know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, okay, sepia.
It looked like that for some of the early shots, but there was one, and I don't know Eagles Crossing that well, but it was one of the I think it was the one that Stokely won a lot of skins on at the earlier match this year, like 14 or something. And the cameraman, I'm like, that's a weird position. He's standing at like the front of the tee pad, like the front right, staring at the player. And then when they go to throw, whips the camera around to see it. So you see none of the shot. It's blurry. Like I feel like I'm about to throw up watching the camera go that fast. But when Paul Uleberry goes to step up, like he like starts his windup and then stops. And then like, I swear, stared right at the camera guy and was like, what are you doing? And it just like, they seemed so out of place. And I heard that yes, I love it. They seem so out of place,
bro.
and I heard that they opened brand new walkie-talkies, but they didn't fit their earpieces or something. Terry Miller had all the details, but so they're pretty much talking over walkie-talkies like as a normal person does, not on a golf course or disc golf course. So I think that the camera people were just like, we're probably messing people up because you heard someone say like, hey, what's going on there? Get the shot right as someone's about to throw. It seemed crazy, but they did lay fiber and a Wi-Fi mesh network throughout the course, which is really cool. And apparently I heard that the camera crew tested it on Friday and it was great. But once people showed up and people were using the Wi-Fi network, it just immediately just was terrible. You add more people in, so there's more people blocking the connection.
But wasn't Friday the first day of live?
No, Saturday morning was the first day of live. There was competition on Friday.
Was just the first round.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well,
I'm sure being there in person, it was probably an incredible experience of actually being able to watch all these different formats and all these players going for maybe bigger shots. Like, I am curious to watch whatever production comes out with this. But
the other hard part to it though, Nick, you just reminded me of this. We are very accustomed to now like UDisc Live and like live scores playing along with the event for everybody that's on the course. I had zero idea besides somebody taking a picture of the score port, which is an old-fashioned thing, and being like, here's how round one finished. And I'm like, yeah, but I have to understand like the layout. I mean, like the format.
Yeah.
And then like the next format's different. And then the next format's different. And like, I can't tell when I'm watching it, how it's even playing out. Like I can see a big shot. You're right. And that was cool. But like, you have no idea. There's no excitement or storyline to it. So I don't want to end on like a bad vibe here, but it was definitely newsworthy. It was a big talk because it was it is the biggest payout that's ever happened for a single person, like a payout for them. So congratulations for that. I'm not going to spoil it for some who are trying to wait due to the whole fact that it was supposed to be live. I'm not going to try to do that tonight.
Yeah, we don't need to spoil it.
Can Climo one?
For once,
Wait, what?
we don't need to spoil it.
Okay, so that was that. There was so much more. We could do a whole show on that, but that's not why people came tonight. So, let me see. I'm curious how the pros feel about it. I know that they were very aware, I was told. They were very aware of how bad it was. I'm curious how they feel about it. I mean, the money's out there. The winner probably doesn't care, but okay. Let's do this. Let's jump into the off season has begun. And I know we actually, before we got on air, or no, we talked about this on air. I'm confused who was here and when, what, but the off season has begun, 2023 season. What are players trying to accomplish during the off season? I'll give you a few scenarios, then we can unpack it. Some players move, like they'd say, okay, I'm going to go move, like actually move, like we know the Macbeths are. I think there's some others who are. Or they go to a place where it's going to be great for practice, meaning that whether they're moving or they're going temporarily, they move in that sense. There's players who are literally seeking therapy for both physical injuries and mental help. Like, how do I become a better disc golfer mentally and physically? You have players who are working, we're going to talk about this later, but sponsorship deals, like how do I do that? So they're going to be working with player agencies. You have players that are just literally practicing. You're going to see social media increase, players in the off season trying to bolster their brands and marketing. There's a little bit of everything. Is there anything like that stands out to you that you feel like we might see? Maybe it's something I said or something else you think, but the off season, what does that bring for the players? I guess, is it an off season anymore? For a lot of them it is, but like, how would you treat it, Nick? Is it the off season?
In a few weeks, it'll officially be the off season. Okay. I have 2, potentially 3 more tournaments, and then I can technically say, oh, I'm in the off season now. Like right around Thanksgiving time is when my off season will kind of officially start. And then whatever tournament I sign up for at the beginning of the year of next year, I'm not really sure when or where that will be. But in a couple of weeks, the off season, I mean, my biggest thing is to do more coursework on the course that's here now. Goliath officially opened up to the public, and then working out, getting better. There's plenty of things. One of the biggest things I want to work on is my footwork and strength in my legs, my core, my back, stuff like that. So I have, literally 100 things that I do want to work on. I've found awesome success throughout the year at some tournaments, but I've been very inconsistent at other tournaments. So it was weird. It was a great year, but a really bad year at the same time. I think I would consider it personally, but and then also like my off season also revolves around helping grow, Discura, which is one of my businesses that I own with a couple people. And so trying to grow that and trying to figure out where, our direction is going, and then figuring out stuff with the Nick and Matt show, obviously, of where is the direction going with this? What does the 2023 year look like? So for me, it's, it's a very busy off season. It doesn't, there's no straight up vacation until I go home to Massachusetts and enjoy some time for the holiday season with my family. But other than that, I mean, every morning will be, get down to the garage, make some putts, throw some drives, maybe play around if the weather's nice enough, do some coursework, go to work and all those good things. But for other players like the Macbeths who just moved down to Florida, it's a better off-season weather-wise. I mean, one of the biggest things is here in Virginia, we can have mild winters. And like I've played disc golf on Christmas Day. It's a very, very weird feeling, but you can play disc golf on Christmas Day. I think it was almost 60 degrees here last year during Christmas. But then 2 days later, it'll be 20 degrees. And so you're kind of like, okay, well, that's the one day that I can play this week because it's the only nice day. All the other days are a little bit too cold or too windy or, too much snow on the ground or whatever. And so in Virginia, you're limited to the days that you get to play, and you kind of have to play on those days. So you have to revolve that schedule around that. When down in Florida, you definitely have a lot more leniency with the weather and saying, oh, I can go play Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday of this week, and then it's going to rain Thursday, Friday, Saturday. But you're not really too worried about it as much down there.
Do you think Paul's working on branding and marketing? I think he's in a pretty good spot. He's probably working on business moves, but like branding and marketing, he's set.
Yeah, I mean, he's a busy guy. He works on, stuff with the Paul Macbeth Foundation. Discraft is always looking to try to do new stuff out there. Cleaning the McLaren and actually getting to drive it around more than once a week when he's home. So, no, he's definitely got a busy schedule. I'm sure there's a ton of, hopefully maybe new sponsorships get into the sport. Maybe he's involved with that, maybe not. I mean, it all depends. I think for someone of his brand caliber, there are so many different options of where, his offseason can look at with everything. So
what do you think?
I think
I thought you were done.
No, you're good.
I was going to say, Evan, like I mentioned a handful of things. We heard how Nick's going to handle it. There's a lot of players like Nick that are actually going to get busier doing things that I don't want to say put off, but that they couldn't focus on during the season. Do you feel like, Nick, I'm saying this with all love, do you think there's different tiers of how golfers handle this? Like, how do you think the Ricky Wysocki's, Pauls, and now, say Aaron Gossage's, right? Like, or Gannon Burrs, like, how do you think they're planning to handle the offseason?
Well, I think biggest thing for a player, especially like Aaron Gossage, Ricky Wysocki, Paul, Gannon, players like that who have shown incredible strength throughout the year and have played incredible tournaments, have won majors or won Elite Series events throughout the year. Their biggest thing is moving somewhere where weather isn't as big of an issue. I mean, we know Aaron's from Colorado, and I think Gannon is from the Iowa area or Illinois. Iowa.
Not good off seasons.
So not great off-season areas. I mean, there are things that, unless you're a skier or something like that, Colorado's pretty
Colorado's
great.
got some nice winter days. You'd be surprised.
But at the same time, if they're really trying to get better at it, unless they have an indoor facility where they can work on it like that every single day, then that's a huge plus. And for someone like Gannon, who, is still a young kid, he's still in high school. So he's not like upping his whole life and moving down to Florida right now or Arizona or Texas or anything like that. But for players like Paul and Ricky, they've made the decision to move to a climate that better suits how they want to practice. They like practicing on courses, field work outside, being able to watch the disc fly. And so I think for more so now than ever, we are going to see more touring professionals make that move. We saw the Oakleys. We've seen Paige Pierce move down there. Katrina Allen's been out in Arizona for a few years now. I mean, there's a ton of players just figuring out where's that best off-season spot. And then they go on the road, starting in Vegas. So
Gannon's dad lives in Florida, so he said he kind of plans on going down there during the winter.
There you go.
So there you go.
Okay. Exclusive. We're not to this point of the conversation yet talking about switching and all that. I see people in the chat being like, "Oh, who's going where?" We are going to talk about that tonight, off season, and what should we watch for? I did see briefly here Jeff Spring join the green room. I want to make sure that he's all set there. It looks like either his camera got turned off or we're having a Nick Carl situation like we did earlier.
Yay.
We'll let him get situated. Once I see him again, we'll invite him in here. But what do you got, Evan, on that? Because I didn't let you talk or Nick.
No, that's all good. I think the biggest thing for the offseason for a lot of these pros who have been on the road all season, who have been hitting up every single event, living in vans or Airbnbs or whatever, is just to take some rest and get like some mental rest. Your body needs rest from those kind of disc golf throwing motions. Like I think getting to the gym, getting in shape in other ways. You can maybe work on putting, like just get like a different change of pace, really get feeling good. So that way, by the time we hit February, or even, you got a couple off-season events coming up that we're talking about. Once you hit February at Las Vegas, you can hit the season like ready to go, like primed, ready. Your mental space is good. Your body is feeling good. Like that is most important to me. Like these players are all fantastic. You can spend a couple weeks leading up, like really getting your throws and discs tuned up. I think there's a few players who really should be putting all off-season, nonstop, like that should be their main goal. Others, there's different things to do, but I think just getting rest and taking a break from disc golf and being active in other ways is good, whether that's your brand and helping ship discs, whether that's on social media doing other things, lots of options.
Okay. I agree. Thank you for sharing that. We did get Jeff Spring lined up here in the green room. Intern Ben, are we ready to unmute him?
We're ready.
Invite him in. Okay, let's bring him. Oh, there he is. Jeff Spring. Welcome to the show, Jeff. It's never been... Let me put it this way. Has it ever felt better to be live production DGN crew after this weekend? I just wanted to say.
We've had a long, successful year, and so we're just enjoying some hard-earned week off action. So we're feeling good. But.
Absolutely, you guys you've earned your way into status for, obviously, I want to say probably just about the only, but the best live production for disc golf there is, and I think that's something that had to be earned. We've seen a long journey with live production. When we were already talking about Steve Dodge bringing it in house, there's a whole bunch to unpack there, but the whole journey through Smashbox to where we are today, I want to just say from our perspective, the Nick and Matt show, incredible job. Keep it up. But that's not why we had you on today. It just was fitting, DGN hat and all. So 2022, is this officially the end of the 22 season? Like as in like this weekend starts the 23 season?
That's right. Yeah, it's a wraparound year. So we're starting the 2022-23 season with points at Lake Marshall. And we made a couple announcements last week. Silver Series is going to be worth 50 points, or we're actually just calling them Silver Events this year because they're all part of the Disc Golf Pro Tour point system.
Awesome. I saw Evan off camera. If we can go to 4 up, actually, that's probably work. Evan off camera gave this massive fist bump because when you said 22-23 season, that was a conversation we had on air tonight. Like, is that what it's now called? And then you just confirmed it. So there you go.
Yeah. Awesome. We're on the same page, Evan.
Yeah.
Yeah, just wanted an answer, and so I appreciate it.
It makes sense. You have to, is what we decided on. You have to do that because of how stats and player of the year, we'll talk about that a little bit. The way that comes down on a season, like it's over at this point. So like anything that happens after, it's got to go to the next season. So cool.
That's right.
Man, there's so much I'd love for you to unpack here. Just maybe if you were to, on a scale of 1 to 10, rate how you feel or felt coming out of the full playoff of its first year. So you had GMC, you had Maple Hill, and then you had the championship. 1 through 10, how do you feel about like just the feeling? I don't know how to unpack that for you, but just like what number do you give it?
I don't know if I'd throw a number out there. It'd probably be aligned with feeling, like it was a pilot year for the playoffs. We feel fantastic about the year. We feel like, probably 8, 9, 10 about the year in different ways. For the playoffs, I think, we're going to keep seeing some tweaking, some fine tuning over the next few years to find out what works the best. But overall, success, I think that it was clear that there was a lot more movement at the end of the year points wise. And that was a goal. We checked that box. There's also more eyes and more attention, bigger commitment from the players down the stretch to hit the important events and know they're going to matter. So a lot of wins. I think that there's fine tuning that we're going to be doing. So onward and upward, really.
Yeah.
Well, it was good enough to go into the 2023 season with the playoff events now happening. One different one this year being D-Glow as a playoff event now because the World Championships are heading out to Smugs later in 2023. So obviously it was good enough success for you guys to say, you know what, we're going to do it again. We're going to roll with it. I guess one question is the Tour Championship switched from Hornets Nest to Nevin Park. Is that something that, are we going to see Nevin Park potentially on the schedule again next year, or is the goal kind of to wrap it back to Hornets Nest?
It's looking like Nevin Park again for next year. It is a better park to hold an event in general. I think that long term we're going to try to move to Disc Golf Pro Tour owned and operated courses. But as we get there, we're going to be excited to return to Nevin. One part about next year is that we're going to be using a new section of the park. So we'll have a few more open holes and tweak some of the holes in between. Probably sub out 3 wooded holes for 3 open holes, and we already got a preliminary design on the books for the most part.
There you go.
Cool.
Mm-hmm.
So we could unpack a lot here. I hope you have the full night. But no, I'm kidding. So I saw somebody post this, and I don't remember I think it was one of your staff members at the Disc Golf Pro Tour, but just talking about the numbers of staff now, does that number stand out to you? Like how many staff members do you have now at the Disc Golf Pro Tour? And I guess DGN combined, unless you don't do it that way.
Yeah, no, I mean, we do it combined. DGN is a part of the Disc Golf Pro Tour organization, and we're around 40 and about 20 recurring contractors generally. It takes a lot of investment in not just technology, but human resources to do that many live shows. I mean, we did over 30 weekends, well over half the year, we're live. It seems like, in terms of weekends. So, we're figuring out ways not to burn out operationally, on our media team, and, getting some redundancy, kind of across our entire organization, whether it's, equipment or human resources. So yeah, I think that it's necessary. We've found a way to do this to the point where we're a little less kind of exhausted and burnt out now than we were last year. And I think the goal would be to continue to build sustainability. That's one of our core values, is sustainability for our organization, so our employees, but not only our employees, but our partnerships in the players. So we're always thinking about how can we be more sustainable, how can we build systems and structures that are going to allow us to continue to grow, and it's a responsibility to the sport too. So we want to keep things moving in the right direction for our piece of it.
Are you guys hiring? I mean, is hiring something you're like thinking about? Do you have like big plans for a new position? Like I might be free. I don't know. I mean, just where are you guys at with that?
Of course. We like to say we're always hiring. If there's great talent out there that wants to, kind of buy into the mission of the tour, in our organization and what vision we have for the sport, we always want them to reach out. We've got a Disc Golf Pro Tour hiring site, and there's always general, interest applications available. But we will be going into like a regular hiring phase. People should expect to see job postings hit probably mid-November, and we hope to, make the majority of our hires before the holidays, before January 1st, and some of that will inevitably trickle over into early January, but we like to have enough time to get onboarding and training done. But yeah, we have to be thoughtful. I think right now we're at a place in our organization's history where we're going to grow, kind of according to our success. So if we're able to, kind of be smart about our expenditures and how many people we do bring on, we're going to be able to continue to expand. So it's thoughtful growth at this point. I think like last year, like most companies, if you talk to manufacturers, for instance, they would say, hey, we doubled our staff, and right now I think that the acceleration is still happening. The growth is still, happening for the sport, but how fast, it's not 250%, it's maybe 25% growth. So it's interesting to watch that and how I think the companies across the industry are, watching the pace of growth throughout the industry.
Could we, first of all, thank you for sharing that. I could hear it well enough. You have a weird little distortion going on. We tried a few resets on our side. If you don't mind, it should be easy enough. Just click out and click back into this link again. Just start it back up. See if we can fix your audio that way, if you can give that a try.
Will do.
Okay,
Sorry,
cool.
guys.
No, it's all good.
No, you're good.
Okay. So he's
We're
hiring.
gonna make him feel bad, Matt.
Yeah, it's our audience who's
Wait,
feeling
Matt,
bad.
is
Their
Jeff-
ears are bleeding.
Is Jeff our boss?
Yeah.
He said contractors. That's me and Matt, right?
Yeah.
Are we part of it?
Yeah, we're part of the contractors. Yeah, so
Yeah, technically
they
you're
need to
part of the
free up
DGN
some budget.
crew.
Jeff's our boss.
Okay. He'll if it's fixed, the audio's fixed. If it's not fixed, we're rolling with it. But I just wanted to give it a best go here before we did the whole thing that way. Started out fine.
No, yeah, I was gonna say it just like weirdly all of a sudden became crackly.
We tried a reset on our side. Like you probably noticed it if you're watching live. Like we actually killed the camera and brought it back on, but didn't fix it. So staff, 40 is a significant number when you think about like actual paid staff members. Now, I didn't say how many are full-time, but staff is staff. They're paying people to do a job.
Yep.
That's pretty incredible. And they're still hiring. So I think that's important that they continue to hire. As he said, he knows it. His review of the playoffs, interesting as well. He didn't want to give me a number. All right. Can you hear us, Jeff?
Hear you. Can
Okay.
you guys hear me?
Yes.
All
And
right.
it
Yep.
sounds better. We'll see how long it lasts. It's perfect.
Okay.
So
I'm still on the road, so I'm tuning in from a motel here. So
okay, that's good.
be back in Vermont eventually, but hopefully the connection holds.
Yeah, that's okay. And I mean, I was gonna say, if this is your house, I appreciate the curtain decorations. I mean, it's pretty trendy. It's the nice olive green with brown swirls. Beautiful. So
The best of Western North Carolina.
There
okay,
you go.
okay. So staff numbers, you're continuing to hire. Smart guy. Obviously, you don't need me to say that. I think it's important for a growing organization, and you're doing that. That's awesome. So where do I go with this? Let's give you an opportunity to talk about on tour. That seems like a pretty big investment from my perspective. I don't have any insider knowledge besides the fact I keep seeing it get promoted. And I was able to talk to some of the producers and the cameramen when they were up here at MVP Open. Sounds like it's a pretty big investment. Like, what is your hope for this? And like, it's coming out soon, right?
It's coming out soon. And before I dive in, how's my connection? Because I just went on the hotel Wi-Fi, so just double checking.
The connection, okay? The connection itself is worse for your video, but we can hear you fine. So it's up to you what you want to try to do here. Like you're jumpy. Like
let me give one more try. Yeah.
Okay.
I'll give it one more try.
Yeah.
Let me hop back in.
Yeah,
If it
not a problem.
doesn't work, we'll just proceed.
Yeah, that's fine. So I asked him about On Tour because I'm sure many of you have seen it as well. It actually looks incredible. Like if you're into disc golf and you're into the tour, have you guys seen the promotions for that? Nick or Evan? Nick? Yeah.
No.
Yeah,
whoa. Okay.
Yeah.
It's gonna be cool, man. It's like a docu-series of On Tour. Like it's like tour life. They interviewed players at all the stops.
Oh,
yeah.
Formula
yeah,
One
yeah,
thing.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of
Spoiler
people.
alert, I might be in that a little bit.
Nice.
Waco?
A lot of people are going to
No.
tie it to Drive to Survive, which is the F1 docuseries.
I know that was the
That's kind of been the really
Yes.
big hit that has gotten that sport into the American market. So it's not the only one to do that. You know, there's other ones like, you know, Hard Knocks and where else can you go? I mean, like Sunderland Till I Die on Netflix, but we'll let Jeff.
You would be
into it.
smart to copy things that are successful. And I don't know if that's what happened here, Jeff, but it's being announced soon, right? I mean, as in like coming out soon.
Yeah, it's coming out at the end of the month here, 6 episodes. And to answer your question, we designed this for our subscribers, you know, primarily. And the thought is, you know, we do want to spread distribution of not just our live media and competition media, but of other media, you know, past the endemic market, past the market of disc golf, and bring in new fans through it. I think you guys are right. You know, there's examples of something similar in the past. Hopefully we do, you know, it our way and have, you know, something that's true to the sport and our voice. We got a talented team working on it and really proud of the effort so far. I think we're close to the finish line here. And the idea is just, you know, hey, our subscribers really got us here. And I think that when we go to national distributors, whether it's like large streamers or broadcasters, they generally want exclusivity without really giving us the benefits of, you know, that our subscribers give us, and that has helped us grow the network and grow the tour. So we wanted to create something that was designed to, you know, give the subscribers some real valuable content in the off season. And that's how it was born. I think that once subscribers who are our focus and you know, our priority, you know, are able to view it and give us our feedback, you know, perhaps, you know, I'll have another life, you know, on a different type of distribution. But like right now, we're excited to debut it for the subscribers that stick with us through the off season, really.
Yeah. Speaking of subscribers, have you seen the numbers continue to grow year after year? Is DGN healthy?
DGN's, yeah, very healthy. In fact, you know, we were talking about those industry growth metrics, and I think it's definitely on the higher side. So, you know, we see very healthy growth. We've gone over 40,000, which was our goal for the end of the year, into you know, into the 40s, and you know, we're hoping to retain as many as we can in the off season and get them back in bigger numbers next year. And hopefully keep putting a high number on that goal board. So it's been great growth.
Awesome.
So over the last few years, we've had the Pro Tour Championships, and every single year the payout has increased by a significant amount, and it's made for these incredible end of the year celebrations and end of the year tournaments. The style of it, and now we've had outside sponsors being the major sponsors of these tournaments. Like this year was the Barbasol. Talk to us about how that partnership kind of came into fruition. And when do you think we'll see that kind of partnership for not just a tour championship, but say, you know, some other tournament, let's say the Las Vegas Challenge presented by Barbasol or something like that? Are we going to start seeing that more, or the Barbasol Open or something like that? You know, when do we feel like we're going to see these outside sponsorships taking more in the Elite Series aspect rather than towards the end of it?
Yeah, I think each year we'll have a little bit more inroads. I think True Bank at Des Moines, a regional Bank was a big step this year. LL Bean and Johnsonville were back with us this year at the Tour Championship, talking about doing more. So I think, you could expect one or two, more inroads to be made per year. I think maybe at some point we'll have a bigger jump. But right now we're actually focused on trying to bring in a bigger partner for the Tour for 2023, similar to that FedEx Cup level partner that we see the PGA Tour have for their playoff stretch and their point series. And honestly, I think we've got a ready-made product for a partner, and this is going to be our first year really selling that. And so it'd be exciting to see a non-endemic partner come on board. I think that could open a little bit more of the floodgates and allow that to trickle down to more events. But no, Nick, you're right. There's probably a future where there's more and more, kind of non-disc golf related title sponsors of events. And we're looking forward to it. We're working with our event teams to kind of create, better and better conditions for that to bubble up and happen naturally. A lot of it is relationship based with Barbasol. It was kind of one of the first times we went through an avenue that wasn't just like, oh, the vice president of marketing loves disc golf. It was through a relationship we started with CSMG, who is a partnership and marketing firm for leagues or brands like ours, and mostly colleges and esports and emerging sports leagues, and they're fantastic to work with. Sean Jack is the lead on that, and I think you guys have talked to him, maybe not on this show, but I think you've spoken to this before.
Yes.
And they were great, and we're working right now actively with them on 2023. So I think in terms of accelerants, this relationship we're hopeful is going to deliver, kind of more bear more fruit, if you will, than just kind of, finding out what, CEOs and CMOs and people across executive boardrooms play disc golf, because that is actually a great inroads for a lot of companies actually to get into the sport and advertising. So it's funny, but I think we're taking a step beyond that now, and I think it'll pay off.
So two things came to mind was McDonald's would make a great large sponsorship, and we talked about that, joked about it last week. The big like golden arches and players could be sponsored by McDonald's. And then the other thing that made me laugh here, and it's not totally related to you, Jeff, but on the show we used to be sponsored and advertised with Manscaped, and someone said the Manscaped Open at Maple Hill, and I'm like, oh no. So hey, we'll take it. We'll take anybody if the price or the situation, the partnership's right. But that's just a funny one to see make it out there. So,
well, Barbasol worked really well because there was just so many tie-ins to dyeing discs.
True.
So a lot of people use shaving cream, and then also we had a close shave activation on the live broadcast, which was really well executed. So I think it does matter that it was like a product that disc golfers, may use. And I've heard a lot more people talking about using Barbasol now. I've actually always used it, and I'm not getting paid to say that. I've just always used Barbasol.
Do you have any nearby to just smack on? That was a great opportunity that they took advantage of. So
I'm glad people that wasn't planned, but I was a little worried. I was like, is this kind of like too silly? But I think it worked.
It was silly,
but
but it's a moment. But it was a moment. You know what I mean? Like it was silly, and you're like, but it was a moment. It worked. So
yeah.
We're hoping to bring Barbasol back for next year, and so far so good. I think that everything we've heard is that they're very, very happy with how it went. So
okay. Let's do this because your time's valuable. You're on the road. I'm just excited that this is the first year, at least, that I have been invited as a contractor for DGN on League Night to vote as a media member for like Players of the Year, Most Improved Player, etc. This is the first year that's happened, right? Or is this just the first year I was invited?
Yeah, no, it's the first year ever. You never were not invited. No, we started it last year. I don't know why. I don't pick the vote.
It's all good. It's all good. I in my head
it
didn't stand out.
It did happen last year. We started getting media votes in, and like for some of the end of the season awards, there's fan votes that are integrated. There's media votes And then standings, matter and points matter. So it's a blend. I'm pretty sure we have an explainer out there. But yeah, thank you for participating. Not everybody, and if you don't vote, if you get a vote and if you don't return your vote, you won't get asked to vote next year.
Right.
Just as an FYI.
Hey, no, and I took it. And Evan, have you voted yet?
Yes.
Okay.
I voted almost right away.
Okay, almost right away. He didn't need any more information because they're stat mando. But
exactly, he's crunching the stats. He probably knew before we released the award.
Yeah.
Numbers,
I had some picks already before the ballots came out. Yeah, I was thinking about it ahead of time.
So on my side, I took it seriously, and I appreciate that, the fact that DGN or DGPT is taking it seriously, to where they'll even say that, like, hey, like, if you don't take this seriously, like, we're not going to have you back. I think you need to create this status level of, like, it's an honor and a privilege, and I think we see that in other sports. And I think the longer this goes on, yeah, I think it'll be interesting to see. This is my takeaway, Jeff, and you're on here. We're going to let you go soon. If media votes, right, or we're going to see separately, like, how media voted. Is that correct? Or no?
I'm not sure. Okay. So I'm not going to speak out.
The reason I'm curious
is somebody has
I feel like media might vote differently than the way, let's say, fans or even points perception was, right? And so it could be like, well, everyone in media thinks this, but this is what happened. So I think it's interesting, at least from my perspective, to see how it might unfold. I think it's a great thing that you're doing there. Last question from us here is new things. Like, is there anything on the tip that you're like, we're getting ready to like make it happen, or you're going to see it next year that's new and we're excited about? And maybe if there's nothing like that, I mean, like player cards and things like that, or tour cards, like, are they going to become more, like, I want to use the word more meaningful? Like, can you just speak to any new things that might be coming?
Well, the playoffs and the tour cards were both kind of pilot programs last year, so they're going to expand. We're going to be putting some, announcements out in the next couple weeks about, tour cards for not only 2023 but 2024 as well. In terms of new stuff next year, I do think that we'll take. We kind of brought it in this year a little bit more, and really focus on the Disc Golf Network subscription and figuring out what else subscribers really enjoy, and focused on producing a lot of live golf, and even into this off season. So we didn't do a lot of non-endemic distribution of media. It was like really our core media strategy. But I do feel that next year we will kind of distribute wider, maybe to streaming services, maybe to national broadcasters. We're trying to focus on getting the live coverage prepared to distribute outside of Disc Golf Network. But, we'll talk more about that when that comes up. One new thing is that, for the tour card, we will be announcing a bit of a qualifying series as a way to get your tour card, and that will come with the announcement I referred to a little earlier. So yeah, just a little bit of a preview for the Nick and Matt show fans out there. What else? We're
yeah, what else?
Yeah, what else? There's you just like looking for anything new.
Yeah, I mean anything like that.
Yeah,
just
we want the first sip of the tea.
Well, it's just like you've been working on projects, I guess, and maybe it stands out to me that there isn't anything that you guys are like. It's a machine that's just constantly growing, and you're not looking to do a rollout, let's say. Is there there's nothing that's like, hey, we're rolling this out next year? That's, if it's not in your mind, it's probably not.
Yeah, nothing that I'm willing to divulge.
Oh, that's what I wanted.
Where I've gone.
That's what I kept digging for.
Give us something to give the fans.
I would say there'll certainly be newsworthy announcements coming.
Awesome.
That will shock and surprise you.
Wow, that's what, yeah, all right.
Ooh.
So now you're giving us
something
to
to
talk
about something like no, that's way too much teasing now.
Yeah, exactly. Maybe I went too far. I should have just used less intriguing adjectives. One thing I do want to ask is for the fans at home to vote for my backdrop as best backdrop on Nick and Matt Show 2022.
Whoa!
You can go full screen.
I have
yeah,
something to say
Ben's
about
got
that.
a rotating
Go full
backdrop.
screen.
Oh, whoa!
There it is. Woo.
Sorry,
Okay.
I'm
That is
background.
actually money.
You're actually my boss. I produce League Night as well. So nice to meet you.
Nice to
Yes,
meet you.
killing it. Thank you, guys. Yeah,
All right.
You guys are killing League Night. I love to tune in as much as possible.
It's too much media, Jeff.
I think it's getting. Too much media.
Well,
yeah.
for you to consume like yourself, you know what I mean? You'd have to watch disc golf.
Too much media for any one human.
Yes.
Yeah, for any one human to consume at this point. You gotta.
That's good.
You gotta have your favorites, and you gotta pick and choose. But
exactly. And so we appreciate the fans who tune in to Nick and Matt every week. And Jeff, we thank you very much for your time. You're always a great guest. We had someone come in earlier tonight and said you are one of their, or if not their favorite podcast guest ever. I guess that's on all platforms, but either way, thank you for coming on.
All right, that's one. I at least got one person.
It's true. Just take that. We can make, you can sleep with it and just know it's someone out there. So
awesome. Thanks for having me, guys.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
Will you be up at Lake Marshall?
I will not be at Lake Marshall. No.
Exclusive.
But I know that it's going to be a great event to kick off the 2022-23 Disc Golf Pro Tour season. So.
Awesome.
I hope your annual review goes well and you get the raise you've been praying for. I'm kidding. I have no idea. I'm just saying. It's the end of the year and everyone gets their annual reviews. I feel like maybe not. Maybe we're not there yet. But
yes,
good job, Jeff.
We're in review season and we're excited to be. So.
Awesome,
Very
man.
Cool.
Well, thanks again.
Hopefully you'll be able to tease out some more information. Maybe we'll get you on in a month or two and we'll talk about all this new surprising stuff.
This is a good time. You guys can get me, once a month.
Whoa,
okay.
We'll reach out. We'll reach out to our
shock
sources and we'll find out what they're telling us is happening that you're not, and then we'll just compare them. Just kidding. All right, man.
Perfect.
Thank you very much.
See you later.
All right. Have a good travel. Safe travel.
I don't know. We could also just find like a disgruntled employee. Maybe they'll give us all the tea. We could just have him give us all the information. We'll pay them like $500,000 or something. We'll get all the cool information.
Bribery,
no, 500 or 1,000.
Oh.
We are not worth 500,000.
Okay. Wow. Okay. Fun times with Jeff. I will say this. Apologies probably not required, but for his audio, how do I throw that at a guest? But we tried everything on our side. It was not
better
our
than
side.
Mason Productions,
it was like
right?
me. It was like me. It was what he was sending us. We couldn't do anything with it. But remember when I was at Junior Worlds and I was traveling. But either way, I went to a hotel and you guys were like, dude, your voice sounds like robotic and messed up. Like, I do it too. That's my point. I'll throw myself under the bus. It has something to do with hotels because that's what happened to me. I think it has to do with the big air conditioner unit. Like when you're sitting near it, I think it just screws everything up. So, but we did hear him and there's a lot of cool insights. Dude, he said there will be things that will shock us.
And shock and awe. Or
And now am I reading in that too much? Like,
wait,
I'm too excited. I agree.
Yeah, now all of a sudden I'm just like, well, now I really want to know because I do love to know some drama. I do love to know the tea about certain things, and now I'm just like, okay, what are these exciting announcements?
We're getting the Pepsi Cup or something. Like it's gonna be that big, right?
As long as it's Coca-Cola, I'd much rather prefer that.
What about
the
Dr.
Pepsi
Pepper?
Cup?
Okay,
the Discera Open, what an Elite Series?
Yeah, the Discera Open 2023.
So I asked him, and I kept pushing, and I was like, I'm like, Jeff, it's really telling. If like nothing comes to your mind, then I guess you guys aren't doing anything. And he's like, you can see, he's like, he trapped me. Like, I gotta say we're doing something.
Now I gotta say something.
Like, I gotta say we're doing something. And so that's cool to hear. I expected that they're always continuing to grow, but I guess he said shocked, surprised. So it sounds like there'll be some really cool stuff. All right. That was, it's probably good. We cut it short for him. Like, as in, like, that was 30 minutes or so, but his audio was just a little much. People said they were bearing through it, and we appreciate you guys listening. Yeah, I mean, we appreciate it. Wasn't that bad to me.
The good stuff is worth it.
Okay, I agree. It was great.
It was good.
Be patient. Hang in there. You can do it. I believe in all you fans listening.
Yes.
Record that. Let's just grab that audio clip after when Evan says that. Just, you can do it. Be patient. You got this. Like, just pump yourself up in the morning with like an alarm. An alarm of Evan.
Wait, no. I think what happened was Mason Productions kind of hacked into our server, and
they didn't like it.
Ouch.
Okay.
We were talking crap.
So let's see. Here we go. Get out the player list here. Just think through a few of these names to watch out for sponsorship deals. Kyle Klein just did a 4-year, right? Or is it 5? 4-year, 5-year. One of those. Is this 2022? Is through 2020? 6. I don't remember how long it is, but he just did a deal. And what's interesting is I think we might start to see like Calvin Heimberg, right? They did a deal. I think we're going to start to see companies being like, we need to secure way early. Because once we let our players get to anywhere near,
that's a good point, Matt.
To get anywhere near it,
Yep.
then they start having those conversations. So I feel like that's what's happening here with these players now. So there are players who are probably going to be up. I actually don't have them listed. This is for us to just discuss. But I almost don't feel like it's as big of a deal anymore to say like, who's up on their contract? Let's look at them. Where are they going? I feel like we saw with Ricky. We saw with Katrina. We saw with Chris Dickerson. I'm trying to think last year. It just kept going. We could list everybody that happened last year, but
Andrew Marweed was a big switch.
yes. And I guess my point is, do we have any feelings? This is very early. We're not going to do every episode talking about like sponsor deals. Do we have any feelings towards like a player who might be interested in leaving? And I'm just going down the list and nobody's fully standing out to me. Like Corey Ellis had a pretty standout year for himself, but I don't think he's leaving Discraft. Like I feel like that's where he's going to be.
Has he
and
been
stay.
promoted to the Elite Series, the team already? Right?
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, he could potentially going into next year. I think the way that
he isn't yet.
For how he isn't currently, no. But same thing, like Aaron had an incredible finish over at Worlds. He had a great year just consistently throughout the year. I mean, that's someone that you could also think would potentially make it, if they stay with Discraft, could make it up to the elite team.
They will, 100%, or else they're leaving.
Let's talk one here that would be a really big name, but Brody Smith.
Mhm.
I mean, I'm going to go back to the McClapback earlier this year when there was, I like him throwing disc with my name on it.
Yeah.
Like I am serious. Like
True.
I don't
He's
know.
like, I don't like it.
Like how he feels, but I think it's a good match. I think it was some fun Twitter beef. So I'm not saying I think he's going to leave, but that would be an interesting story, right?
He would be someone who would definitely could or would. I don't think he would. I think he's getting more with Discraft than he'll get anywhere else. That's my current take. But you're right. That was a good idea to bring it up. I'm going down the list all the way up to like 30th in the Disc Golf Pro Tour standings, and there's a lot of names in there. I feel like Chris Clemens like played pretty good for himself this year. Yep. I feel like with a DD sponsorship, he's probably staying there. But that's a name that I'd put as I don't know.
That's a good point, man. That's 2 for 2.
All right,
Chris Clemens is a good off-season point.
I got one. We're gonna
go for it.
We're gonna flip the script a little bit when we're talking about dynamic discs. Valerie Mandujano had an incredible year.
Yes.
And I just want to, I do not know details, but when it comes to contract numbers,
I feel like it was a 1-year deal.
Contract numbers. 1 or 2 years, I forget what it was, but contract details when it comes to, let's say, Kona's contract versus what Valerie's contract is or could potentially be in the future. I mean, how many Elite Series events or Silver Series events did Valerie ended up winning this year? I mean, she did play a very, very good season with some incredible finishes, especially towards the back end of the year. I mean, making it into the Pro Tour finale and everything like that. So all around incredible year by her, to where I think any other sponsorship and her sponsorship now would want to throw more money that
I'm
way.
going to throw this out, though, is I'm pretty sure that she's with Beacon Sports. I know Mason is, and so I would assume she is too. But Beacon just locked down 2 big names to stay with their companies, being Calvin Heimberg and Kyle Klein. Now, of course, that was still during this season, so maybe that was the reason. And if you're trying to switch sponsors, that doesn't really happen until after. But I don't know. Beacon might have something where he's just really good with the words to get re-signs happening and really, really pushes that. But it's not always going to be that way too. But I think that's a good one, though. I agree.
How many contracts do we think are going to get released publicly? Open contracts. So we kind of, what do we have? 4 or 5 players in the world right now who kind of have open contracts.
I believe
less than 5
now that sports agencies are being much more heavily involved. I mean, I'm just curious what that looks like. Are we going to see?
They won't do it unless, this is my opinion. I think it was last year, similar opinion. They won't do it unless it is in that $500,000 range for 4 years. Like, because that's right now the minimum.
To where people will laugh at it?
Yeah, I feel like it's, because it's a good pay, $125,000 to play disc golf. But like, if you're announcing it, like, here's how much money I'm getting.
Kyle Klein was announced. He's going to be making over $100,000 each year.
It was vague in that sense.
Yeah, it was vague, but they did say $100,000.
Well, remember Drew
Yeah.
Gibson, millions over the lifetime.
Yeah.
So, like, okay, I'm sorry, I'm laughing.
Yeah.
Okay, here's another name.
Contracts with the bonus structures can be super vague anyways,
Yes.
like the $1 million one.
Because they have to say what it's potentially worth. Okay, Chandler Kramer is a wild card for this because he has demonstrated he has I'll use a very high skill level. Chandler, if you're watching, obviously you're better than me. So that's all I'm saying is I'm not basing it off of that.
Yes, I would agree with that.
Like I'm not basing to say that. This is what I do. I talk and I watch you play. Your performance has been really good. This is your first season that stands out at all, and you're not happy with it, I'm sure. But 35th place in the Pro Tour standings. But you had some impressive finishes that he caught the eye of sponsors. Now, I don't think he demonstrated enough that like a big deal would be made. And so I think Lone Star, that's his sponsor, right?
Correct. Lone Star Discs.
So Lone Star, though, I think will up what they're doing for him. And I don't know that he'll announce it. But like I think that will happen. So he'll probably get an up there. And so slightly out of what we were talking about, which is like new sponsor deals. But I think that's
I have a
probably
name
where that
for
falls.
you that I think.
I have a name too,
Wait,
but you go
stay
for it,
on
though.
Chandler for a
Oh,
second.
yeah,
Go ahead,
Stay on
wrap up
Chandler
Chandler.
for a second.
Okay.
Wrap up,
Go
Chandler.
ahead,
So I
Nick.
was gonna say, I mean, I think Matt was just saying that he doesn't know if they would announce it. I don't think they would announce the exact money, but I would love to see it. I think that'd be great. But at the same time, I think publicity wise, for a company like that to back a player who, you know, they don't have a full lineup of discs, I think they're actually getting pretty close to it. But just saying like, hey, we fully supported the Green Machine this year, and we're ready for him to come back on a better sponsorship, better deal, and everything like that. I mean, Chandler at that point is, you know, the face of the company when it comes to a player. And so showing that support publicly, I think it would be a very good business move
He is the face
for both.
Okay.
Player and
I have
company.
now thought of someone else, but I'm going to let Evan or I think it was
I'll
Ben
just
go.
say mine real quick.
Okay.
Number 7 in the world, Joel Freeman. He's currently with Innova. I wouldn't be surprised if he leaves.
No way.
Why? What's keeping him there?
He has all the tour discs with him already. Like
he only has a glow gator.
is that it?
Yeah, nothing. I'm just saying, 7th in the
But
world.
he's
that
only on
works.
Team Champion.
Hmm.
So I mean that's why
He had a good
has
year
that.
though. But
I think that's a good one. I'm gonna throw out one more though, and I'm gonna go to Jason Hebenheimer, also Jake Hebenheimer. I wish we could decide on one name for him.
AKA Schmiegel, I guess that's his nickname. We heard it.
we
What?
didn't give it to him.
We didn't give it to him. I guess people at the distance call, they're going Schmiegs. I don't
This
know,
guy,
but-
he improved so much from
That's
last year to
hilarious.
this year. People might not know he had a double-digit starts last year on tour, and this year he comes out and raised his average rating by 38 points. His average rating on tour, his C1X putting percentage went up by 20%.
the shovel putt,
this
by the
dude-
way.
He put in the work, yeah, right? Like he's unique enough with the shovel putt. He's an incredible thrower. I mean, with the new stat that I still don't actually know how it's calculated, but it was deciding the $1 million shot at Maple Hill. He was one of the top 6 players that made it. So he's good at driving. His putting just got a lot better. He's showing up on tour. He made the playoffs. He was good enough to he was good enough to make the play-in at the Tour Championship. Of course, the playoffs as well. I don't even know his sponsor. Is it Dynamic Discs? Am I right?
No.
I don't know either.
See, like, does he even have a sponsor? And this is my
I
point.
think he might be a mixed bag guy or like a pro shop
Yeah.
one, but
I-
I'm pretty sure he's a mixed bag thrower because
I think he is primed to
Yeah.
get one of those new deals a deal from one of these new companies. I'm thinking like Clash, Lone Star. I mean, there's probably a few others I'm thinking about. Those are kind of the big 2 that I'm thinking, or it could just be someone other. It could be a lot of options, but I'm going to go with like a Clash, Lone Star, that kind of deal is going to pick this guy up, and he's going to make a solid penny.
I got one.
I gotta
Matt,
ask-
you said you had one though.
Yeah, I got to
right?
ask the Discraft guy in the room here. Does Discraft have any like? I'm sure it's some level, but do they have any big name non-US players that are like on their like elite or star, like whatever their high team is? Like, I can't think of any.
Like if you think like a Manabu with Prodigy.
I'm
kind of player.
thinking of like, here's my hot take. And I have no idea why this would happen, but I think it'd be cool for Discraft. I'm thinking Discraft specifically because I don't think they have a player like that. It would be like Niklas Antila, like going
I was just about to
Discraft.
say that's actually who I should have said. Like if Discmania has Nicholas or like Latitude has Linus and all of them, I think a lot of companies like that, especially the Trilogy. Prodigy has a whole on manufacturer warehouse. I mean, they have Prodigy Disc Europe. Discmania is also a company that originally was based out of there, and now their plastic is being made out that way. I think with Discraft being an American-made company and solely focused right now where their warehouse is in Michigan and everything like that, I think it's been harder for them to obtain a player of that caliber.
Ship them 1,000 discs, get it
overseas.
over with, and then just send them money every now and then.
I mean, yeah, it could be. Then maybe they sign one this year. Who knows? But
Yeah.
off the top of my head, I understand what you're saying. I can't think of one
Who knows?
off the top of my head.
Does,
like a Nicholas.
does Julio know?
Does Bob know? I mean, yeah, Bob would know. He's the team manager.
I
Let's
wouldn't
send
be
him a
surprised
message.
if a
he would,
European
he would
goes
say
to-
yes or no to me.
Let's
Yeah.
send him a message. Is we get no
Yeah.
I
deal
think
on that?
Discraft splashes a big European this offseason.
They have
100%.
money. They probably still have more
Potentially.
money. They're not tapped out. They wouldn't
they?
do that with
Yeah,
their
I don't
deals.
know.
But
I think they're just reinvesting.
Innova's got international. DD is like kind of in that because of the whole Latitude 64, that whole trilogy thing.
All right.
Prodigy does. So I'm just like, I was just thinking, what does Discraft have? So that's why I was thinking.
I got my last 1/2. I'm going to put them as a combo one, and then I think that's all I got. But either Evelina, Salonen, no,
That wasn't me. That was bad.
never gets old. Either Evelina, Salonen, or Henna Blomroos. I mean, one, they're incredibly
Ooh,
good, and they are
good
there
points.
at the top any week they
They're
want.
on Innova.
They're incredibly good drivers. So yeah, you want your best thrower throwing your disc, but two, and I think this is the big one, is how good does it look if they start getting a putter and that they're confident with, like let's say they switch to DD and are putting with the Warden or something, or they're going to Discraft and they're with the Discraft putter. I'm really bad
Challenger.
at putters. Challenger, thank you. And they're doing that, and like how good that looks. I mean, either one of them with a putter, I think would be better than Kristen Tatar overall. Maybe not as consistent as Tatar is, but better overall.
Mm-hmm.
So that
Or
would
just
be exciting.
practicing, that would
There-
help.
My last one on
Well,
the MPO.
yes, that would come with it. Yeah.
My last one on the MPO side of things, and then I'll go down the FPO list. But my last one on the MPO side is Thomas Gilbert. I could see making a switch from Prodigy.
Like as in 1 year later kind of a thing. Didn't he just do that last
Yeah.
year?
I mean, there have been plenty
Probably
of
was a
players
one-year
who
deal,
sign with
yeah.
a company and they're just like, you know what, this really is not working for me. And I think some players are smart enough, like, all right, let's take
Cole
Cole
Redallen with the
Redallen for a
putter,
second. Cole Redallen with the putter. Something mid-year was like, wow, I actually, even though they're paying me money, I really cannot make this work, and opted out of that contract. So now Thomas Gilbert, someone who hasn't had a horrible year, don't get me wrong. He's played 37 events. He's made 20 grand, or excuse me, I think it was 23 grand. You know, had some good top 5, top 10 finishes, but nothing that was like, you know, oh my gosh, wow, we see, you know, Thomas almost taking down an event. But at the same time, I feel like his consistency a little bit faded off this year. Didn't make as much of a splash as we saw the 2 years prior.
Yeah, I agree.
And I don't know. So Thomas Gilbert would be someone that
I
I'm
also
gonna
think
go down my
because
list in
Prodigy
FPO.
out of nowhere got these that pretty much out of nowhere got this star team that no one's expecting, and Thomas is kind of falling on the wayside, so he might want to get more marketing.
But he
somewhere
just left Innova, went to Prodigy.
He bought like 13 of Big Germ's
Yeah.
Halo bosses, but he did
He said
say
it's an investment,
Yeah, he
right?
recognized a good investment.
He does that for so many different
Yeah, he did
discs.
that.
I wouldn't
Okay.
read into it.
Like, I just want to react because
I'm reading into
we're
it.
so excited. We're all talking these. I wanted to react to Evan's take. I honestly am struggling a lot with the take of Evelina or Henna. Now, I'm not struggling with your like the way you supported your take, but in my mind, they are Innova through and through. Now, you could say like that was a Paul Macbeth thing, but Paul, there was a lot that went into that to where it was like people didn't think it would ever happen. But if you were a little bit behind the scenes, you knew some of the, I won't use the word turmoil, but things that were coming into play there to really make it like all the parts came together in a big, big deal. So I think for Evelina, I don't see that personality in her that she's like driven to make that big deal. So I
Just
don't,
wait.
Corey
I wouldn't
Ellis
say
is
this
leading
year.
this
I don't know.
craft.
I don't know why. I'm curious about your mentality towards that, because I think any single one of these players right now, especially with the, you know, Evelina or Henna, if they're offered a pretty fat amount of money to switch to a sponsorship. I think that allows them to think about their future more and everything. I think 98% of the people in
how
disc
much
golf
are they
right
going to
now-
be offered though? Like how much? This is kind of my point. Is like driven towards it'd have to be the big deal, and Henna
Mhm.
would be most likely. It's tough. She had a great, back half of the season, kind of like a Missy Gannon did. So like if I was rolling my dice, I feel like Henna would be the more attractive buy low, get high kind of a thing, as in like they're like, hey, you had a good last half of the season, but we're not offering it you like you had the best season, right? But
Mhm.
they're rolling their dice saying she's going to do good. I don't know what
Oh
they
yeah, I was gonna say you're also investing in their future.
exactly. I don't know what they'd have to offer her. This is their. I know. This only goes so far, and I'll just end on this. Like it only goes so far, but they've played with Enova their whole time. I don't think they had that season that's like, oh, I'm ready to make a big demanding move, or somebody comes and pays really high for them to where it's worth it for them. I think they're willing to play it with the discs they know, the support that they have. I mean, Jonathan Poole, there is something to be said for this. Like, Jonathan Poole, if you know him outside of like tournament directing and all that, and you're able to talk to him, like a really incredible, genuine guy. The support he was offering to Henna there tells me that they have a decent relationship. And now, say I'm digging really deep here. Like, I just
Mhm.
don't see this year being the year where that would happen. If they have a great next year, then maybe. Now, let's go
We'll
back
see.
and clip this out if I'm wrong. But I'm just
Yeah.
struggling
Chat,
with that.
you
remember
go.
this.
All right, I'll give one off the top of my head really quick. Don't have to talk too much about it. But Holland Hanley made a pretty big splash this year, especially towards the end of the season. I know we always talk about that kind of recency bias. Don't get me wrong, but Holland Hanley, I think, definitely made a name for herself, and she's proven that she's here to stay. A third place finish at Worlds was an incredible feat by her. Curious to see with kind of how well Valerie did this year, how pretty well Holland did, how Kona did not have a great year, and they're investing a lot of money into that. But then Latitude investing a lot of money into Chris and Tatar. I'm curious how much money do they have to kind of spread out between players and who's worth more than who's worth other players. And so curious if Holland, if it would be kind of a good idea to go around, shop around, see where she can make potentially a couple extra bucks. So
Good idea.
Okay, before we move on from this, now I'm going to be talking about out of both sides of my mouth. Henna would be the more attractive and the one who would likely get the deal if we were going down that road. I still am leaning, you can cut this part, I'm leaning towards it's not happening. But like if it is, that's what it would be.
And
Now,
the Clash?
someone said Henna to Discmania, and I was like, oh, that sounds really intriguing as like how that would. So if that's what happens, there it is. But I'm still saying that's not going to happen. But I think that sounds interesting enough. Okay, before we move into our next segment, I put a sticker on here tonight. DG Max Wax, everybody. That's a sticker. It doesn't come that way. This product is a legal mini. Okay, you can use it actually as a mini if you'd like to. I get like pine needles and stuff stuck in it. It looks like it has a lot of character if I use it as my mini, but it works that way. You get the grip enhancement on your fingers just by holding it or grabbing it. I keep it in the mini pocket. It provides to me this product. It is a product that when I first got it, I said, it's gimmicky, right? Do I need something? Is it going to make me better? I thought to myself, probably not. But I want to work with this company. They sound like a great startup, DG Max Wax. I have now come to actually use the product regularly. And I'm moving away from like, I always say it, moving away from either licking my fingers or touching the dirt in the ground. This is my go-to, and I get just the right amount. If I feel like I overdid it, as in like I actually have a buildup on my fingers, a simple rub it on the pants or on the shirt just a little bit gets you to that perfect grip enhancement. I saw somebody asking about this in social media. They tagged us. They said the Nick and Matt show swears by it. I do think it's a fantastic product if you're looking to enhance your grip. It's not sticky. It's enhancing. They also have a product called Snapstick. As the winter months come into the Northeast, you better believe a lot more people are going to want to use it when it gets cold and dry. It's hard to get that extra tack. So anybody want to add anything on that? You guys loving it? Or where are you guys at with it?
Me personally, well, this is just intel.
Intel.
So if you are disc golfing in the Northeast per se, or anywhere where it gets cold, winter months where it gets like just I don't know, just wintry. I've heard a couple people say they need Max Wax for the winter. I'm not even kidding that they need it because they just can't throw this as well when it gets cold out because I don't know, something with your hands are just cold.
It's cold
yeah.
and dry. And then I will say this, and this is, I'm not going to say an age, but the older you get, the less grip you get on your hands naturally is, I think my dad told me that. I'll just leave it at that. It's like, I don't get as good as grip, you know? And so like this product is helpful for any of those situations.
For the winter, you need it.
I use it during humid situations or raining as well, like just to get a little bit of extra there. Have you ever like over dried your hands? Like it was raining and then like you constantly kept them so dry that they actually got like slick in a weird way?
Yeah, like sweaty kind of.
No, I don't know how to explain it. Like super dry, like so your hand's not even creating any moisture. Anyways,
look at Evan. He's watching the Pats game in the corner of his eyes. What are you doing, Evan? Just focus on the show.
Anyways, 10% off dgmaxwax.com. It's supporting a disc golf company, and we'd love for you to support them because you've heard it. You heard it here. So
yes, sir.
We'll grow that. Help grow that business one DG Max Wax purchase at a time. It'll be awesome. All right.
Well, what's the score of the Pats game if that's what you're watching?
Yeah.
That's 3-0, but there was just a late hit on Mac Jones. I was trying to catch it. And Ben was talking about the drying of it. I was just like, oh.
I knew it. He kept looking at the corner. I was like, this guy.
Okay.
Yeah, I was trying to figure out what happened, but let's go.
Let's go, Statman.
It's not exciting now.
I don't care if you watch it. We have it on the big projector here, 100-inch screen in front of us. No, I'm kidding. Okay.
Oh, I was going to say lucky.
Here's our last few topics. And this is another speculatory type segment. Underperformed this season, as in 2022. And what that looks
Kevin
like.
Jones.
Underperformed
Okay.
looks like this. Here's the scenario. 2021, they played higher than this year, okay? And you believe that after this year, they're going to play higher again. So this is what we're essentially saying is this was an off season, underperformed. We expect that they're going to bounce back. If you start with FPO, my very, very first pick is Haley King. I believe this was an underperform year. Does anybody agree with that? Disagree with that?
She didn't show up to a lot.
You know what? I want to underperform and win a major.
Yeah, right.
Yep.
But I think it's totally valid though.
Okay, good. Yeah,
I think it's totally valid, but it is
No,
crazy that she wins a
just
major
kinda
and it's an
messing around.
performance. Yeah,
it is a weird way
it's
though, because you could
good
say the same
observation.
thing about Eagle. Like he won that. Do I feel like he underperformed? That's very unique. I actually don't feel like he underperformed because I don't feel like the events he showed up to, he played like poorly in general. And I feel like Haley, the ones that she did show up to, yes, she won one, but the ones she showed up to outside of that, whether you want to call it poor play or just like not showing up or whatever it is, like I feel like it was an underperform year. I think we're going to see her. Like if you go to points for Haley King right now. 21st. You're telling me that's not underperforming? Like that's
No. I totally agree with you, Matt.
Okay, you were just
I do think
busting
she
me.
underperformed. Yeah, I was just saying, like, it'd be fun to win a major and still be considered underperforming.
Took you too seriously.
time.
What do you think? So that's my
Yeah.
FPO pick. I am going to come up with some others here. Any other underperformers they played this year?
In the FPO side?
Wherever you want to go. That's fine.
I think I would most agree with the Haley King pick. Sorry, Nick, to cut you off, but
No, you're good.
I think what I want to go with is Macy Villa-Diaz, and that might seem odd because she showed a lot of glimpses last year in 2021 of being primed to tour more and be up at the top very consistently, and she did tour more this year. She did better in points this year, but not really in play. She just played a little bit more. And I think after a year of playing a lot more events coming back next year, she'll be pushing a lot more for those podiums and really be in contention of winning more often.
What do you got, Nick? Any? If you
On my side, I think this is kind of an obvious one, and I feel bad still harping on it. But Kona Panis definitely underperforming this year.
So you think she's going to perform higher next year?
I hope.
I think so. To be honest,
I
I
really
do
hope.
think she. And I'm not saying she's going to go out and win 10 Elite Series events, but I definitely think we're going to see a more consistent Kona than we have this year. I think switching to the plastic. I think wedding stuff coming up and life out on the road. It's new money. It kind of. I think all of that kind of hit really at once, and then it's the expectation of, wow, I just signed a fat contract and now I need to play really well. But at the same time, it's like, you know what? if she had an off year, hopefully she figures it out and comes back stronger next year. I do think that she will come back stronger. I think it definitely was a season that she would like to forget and she would like for people not to consistently talk about. But as sports people and as the hosts of a podcast, we do have to bring it up. So Kona Panis would be my underperform. Haley King as well.
But
like
that's
you were
not
saying.
a bad one. That's not a bad award to get, is the underperformed. I mean, you didn't want to, but what we're saying is we think you had an off year and you're going to be playing back to your skill level. So it's actually a good thing to call her out, I think. In that sense. Like we say she's going to play better.
Anywho, going to the MPO side.
I have a good one.
Hold on. Are we leaving FPO?
We're still kind of.
I have.
Oh, I thought we were. Do you have another
We're
one?
bouncing all over, but I do have just throw them out there. We don't need to even elaborate on it. Evelina. Is this an underperform year? Remember when she was over here? When was it? 2021. We were like, she's the next coming. Like she is the best player. Remember UDisc rankings was like number 1 in the world.
Yep.
Well, that was while she was still in Europe. They had her ranked number 1 without playing a U.S. event.
But still, my point
but
is she was performing pretty
She won
high.
2 Elite Series before the pandemic. She won Memorial. I think that was in 2019, but then she won Waco in 2020. She won that event.
Yes.
That was shortened due to the pandemic. She was over, before this season, I called her to be the best European, and look at how wrong I was there. So I think you're.
but here's my point.
I think you're right. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Good. Yeah. I was gonna say I think that means she probably underperformed. I don't know if you had a bad pick. It was kind of like we all can say it over and over and over and over. Putting woes for her, but I feel like, and I talked to her in person at MVP, and I said it was weird to talk about. But I was like, so what do you think about your putting? Like, what's the inside scoop there? And she's like, I feel really good and confident in practice. Like I can hit my putts from anywhere practice.
Nerves are real.
So it tells me exactly. It told me that it was nerves and it was a pressure that was being placed on her somewhere internally. So that's that. I think she underperformed. She can figure that out. I think Brody's hot take is like her or Henna. I think she said Evelina, but would be like the best woman by far if she's able to hit her putts. So that's an underperform. And
that's
then
what I'm saying.
I wouldn't say by far, but I definitely think they would perform a lot better. If you just really look at Kristen's game, it is so methodical and so consistent, and very rarely does she make these huge blow up things happen. And she is one of the best FPO putters in the world. And to get to that point is the hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of hours to do that. Now, Evelina and Henna can both improve their putting, and we may think their putting improves a lot going into next year because of how, I'm going to be blunt with it, but how horrendous some of their putts were this year. And so we'll be able to look at it going into next year. If they're making those 15, 20 footers just a little bit more consistently, then we're going to say, oh my gosh, they're so incredibly great at putting, when we've seen Kristen from 25 to 35 feet being an insanely good putter and very rarely missing those, definitely not missing anything just outside of the bullseye, if at all. But yeah.
So move it to wherever you want. This is an interesting topic of saying they played well the year prior. This year, we're saying they underperformed, and we believe they're going to be back next year. Who are you going to with MPO? I think you were leading that way.
For
MPO and underperforming, and this is funny because I actually don't think it's really that big of an underperformance. James Conrad, though, not getting any Elite Series wins this year and not really making a splash at
when was
events
his
like
last
we've
win
seen in the past.
When was his last win, Nick?
I mean, 2021 Worlds.
And when was
his last win before that? You remember?
USDGC.
That is correct.
That's insane.
Bob literally popped off
He's
2
clutch.
perfect weekends popping off, and he's a 2-time major champion. He's a world champion. You can never take that
That's
away from him.
insane.
Yeah,
awesome.
that's literally his last 2 PGA sanctioned wins. It's not it's not just Elite Series and majors. It's literally his last 2 wins.
What?
I mean, he's won the MVP Open in the past.
That's his last Elite Series only win in 2018 MVP Open, which doesn't feel that long ago, but is pretty long ago.
That was a good pick.
I'll say not that I'm expecting James to go out and win 3, 4, 5 tournaments a year on the Elite Series stage, but I feel like we didn't talk about James as much of he had a fire tournament, just lost it towards the end, kind of something like that. We really didn't bring his name into conversation, I think, too much. Definitely not out of sparking any remembrance out of me right now.
Okay. Go ahead, Evan.
I was just going to say there's a lot of good players on tour now. I don't think it's that surprising to see James and you mentioned Kevin Jones earlier, kind of drift towards those lower single digits or closer to the 10th best in points or rankings or whatever the ranking system is. That's not too surprising. It is a little surprising how James hasn't really been in contention to win besides a couple silvers this year, and Kevin Jones as well. I think it was Vegas. He was looking really good, and that was maybe about it.
I think it's
So I do agree with you there.
too, right?
Oh yes, Jonesboro is down to the final hole. Good memory.
Good memory.
All right. Here's
Go
mine.
ahead.
Can I just say mine?
Say it.
I think this is the
Go
best
for it.
one.
All right.
Paul Ulibarri.
I can't buy it.
I think that was the best. Like he shockingly, I know he was injured, but he shockingly did terrible in the beginning half of the season where it was just like,
I
know he's
Paul.
not like a super elite, but he did not do great. And then he picked it up after he took that break.
He has some skills. Like, I just can't buy into this was an underperform. I think, I mean, he might do a little bit better, but I'm not.
That's what
thinking-
I'm saying. I'm not saying he's gonna get top 10. I'm saying he underperformed for his
Okay.
caliber.
Okay.
Whether that's 30th overall in the world. I'm just
Nico LaCastro.
saying.
Oh, don't even start.
Is that an underperform year? I would imagine it is if he comes back next year like he's going to.
I mean, he was
in the beginning.
overperforming over at the European Open, which caused him to underperform after that.
So, anyways, that was kind of an easy
All right.
pick. Chandler. Okay, we're not there yet. Go ahead.
I got I think the clear top pick to this, and that's Adam Hammis. I mean, not only did he
Dude,
win
you
two,
read my freaking mind. Adam Hammis, who
well,
we've
yeah,
seen
after
win in
you
the
said
past.
a few people,
Yep.
but sorry, we saw him win 2 Elite Series events last year in 2021 to winning none. That's not that surprising. If you told me he would win none this year, that's not too surprising because winning is hard. But you would expect him to be at the top, a lot more top 10s, a lot more pushing for the win. And he had a few better finishes than you would think. I'm not looking at his page currently, but he did have some at least top 20 finishes, but he wasn't really in the contention for winning, really pushing that victory. Like his average round rating was almost 10 points worse this year than it was last year. In an age where you see lots of people getting better and better, especially young players like him, it is surprising. But to me, I think it was a lot of mental, whether dealing with success or maybe off the course things going on. And I think next year, I mean, he's obviously an incredibly good disc golfer. I think he's gonna be right back up there.
His numbers would support you there. I'm looking at his page, like 65th at Ledgestone, 77th at Waco, 44th at Des Moines, 41st at Worlds, 50th at the event he won at Maple Hill, like 50th. Like, that's a good pick. I think it's a shoe-in for underperform this year. I hope so.
Yeah, but underperform with the chance of getting better next year because it's a double
That's
thing.
what
And
I'm saying.
I
You're
truly think he'll be better next year.
It's kind of like you buy and sell. Like I'm looking at it. That's like one you want to
Stock
buy
market.
because you're like, he's going to get better. Like,
Yes.
exactly. So,
100% clear as day by. Yeah.
okay. Any others here? We kind of said some that were a little bit interesting on the edge of like, they're in almost the top 15 or 20.
Yeah.
It's hard to say that's an underperform, but I think both of you made great points for that. I don't know how to say like Nicolas Antila, like if he does like a full season, I think we'll see that this was in a weird way, like an underperform because of how he wasn't here the full year, like doing every event. I think if he is, I think we'll actually see him rise up like the point standards for sure. So it's hard to say if it's an underperform or not. But
He was here for like 70% of the season. I think he at least played 8 Elite Series
Okay,
events.
let
I
me
mean, he
look.
didn't get the
I think
drops he
did
wanted.
pretty good.
But yeah, I
I
believe
mean, to
he
make it into the
skipped-
Pro Tour finale, right?
Yeah.
Did he?
Yeah.
Yeah. Did
he have to play
I believe he.
No.
No,
Okay.
I think he was about the late teens, like a 19th or something. I don't think he played Las Vegas Challenge. I believe he started out in the Texas Swing. But a lot of those players played the Texas Swing all the way through probably around DDO-ish or Jonesboro, and then went back to Europe for the summer until European Open, and then came back after European Open.
including the
So he-
championship and the playoff events. He played 7. So he had played 4 Elite Series before that. Now,
Okay.
but-
yes, that is less than I thought. Yeah,
yes,
good call.
but he did play like Silver Series. Okay.
think
He
Music
played
City
the
he did
Champions
really
Cup.
well.
Sorry, he played the So
Mhm.
8, but including the 3 like final events. So, anyways, yeah. But
Mhm.
I think that's, and I don't know. it'd be hard to call him an underperform anyway. So unless you have any others that stand out, I'm going to move to the other segment, which is the other side of this.
Let's go.
Okay.
Yeah.
Overperformed. Now this one is really, I think it's super interesting to look at here. Overperform. It feels harder to call somebody out for this because we're actually saying like this year they did good and we're like poo-pooing on it. Like we don't think that's where you're going to land. As a person, that's just not in me. Like if I'm hanging out with people to do that, but like talking this, there are some interesting names that come up here. So does anybody want to kick this one off?
Should I go? Should I go to be the Mario?
No.
So
I think overperformed.
No.
He placed 8th in the tour points.
It's where he deserves to be.
No, I think he overperformed.
Didn't last year's top 10 too?
He played less events last year.
Right,
I forget
it wasn't
where he
many.
finished, but he was played very well for the ones he did.
Mhm.
Yeah, that's an interesting one because I think there's a lot of reasons why you think he might be towards the end of his career. I personally think he's going to stay kind of exactly where he is. I think with Matty O, you see what you get. You know he's a consistent, really good player. I'll be surprised if he ever wins an event. Unfortunately, as it is, I know he's a ton of fun to watch and he's incredibly good. I think he's going to continue to finish top 5.
3 continues.
Ben Callaway was
Yes.
a good underperformed. Thanks, chat. We didn't mention that, but that was a good
There's so many. If we reviewed every player, yes,
I know,
would
but that
agree.
was
That's
a
good
was a
one. That is
standout
good
one.
Let me talk about the obvious, and it's not because I think they're going to play so much worse next year.
Okay.
But
What's
do you
obvious?
think they're getting 4 Elite Series wins next year? And that's Simon Lazat.
Oh, I was so sad
Do you
to say
do you
it
think?
out loud, Simon.
Do you
I
think
let Evan
he's
do
getting
it.
4 Elite Series wins next year? That's my
How
only
dare
question.
you,
do you
Evan?
think
Hold
he's
on.
getting 4?
The
Hold on.
Shrewsbury boy.
If I asked Simon, and I doubt he's listening right now, he's busy, family, hanging out, and all that now. But like, if I text him right now, are you going to win 4 times next year? He's going to go something like, hell no. Like he's going to say
That's
it himself.
literally, yeah.
But if I'm wrong, Simon, let me know. Text me otherwise. But I feel like he would say, well, of course I hope it, but I have zero expectation, and I don't think it's going to happen.
Simon goes, of course I'm getting 4.
Let's go.
He just texted
He just texted.
Yeah.
All right. Well, hey,
I
let
stood up for
me
you,
say
Simon.
this.
You're welcome.
I have some stats.
Oh,
and
I could have
his
told
average.
you. I could have told you he would have said that too, but I guarantee the way that he said it, I can hear it now. It was so like,
I was more on your side, Matt, by how he would respond, like, "Oh hell no," like
yes,
something like
but
that.
you can hear him. He's looking at you slyly, like, of course I am, and he's looking to see if you buy into what he says.
That's
Simon, we
funny.
love you. That's so funny. Thanks for watching.
Let
the
me
show.
talk about this, and these are going to be average stats, so it's of course going to take the good and the bad. And in disc golf, usually we just mention how much of the good you have. But his average round rating in 2022 compared to 2021 was up not even a full point. It was up 0.71. His average, his under par percentage, his birdies are better, was actually down by 0.8%, worse than 2021. And his bogeys were 0.09% better, as in less bogeys this year, or over
more
par bogeys
pars.
are worse. So his season was pretty much about the same. He just won, which is incredibly good. That's an incredible skill on its own. And I think Simon said in his interview after one of the events was, it feels like I'm either coming in first or 30th. And so if he has another one of those seasons, then absolutely, like he could win, 4 more. But there's also a very high likelihood it ends up somewhere in between. Maybe he is consistently top 10 and always finishing top 10, but maybe not getting those wins. That was, you think about like 2017 through 2019, that was a lot of Simon Lazat's career, getting a lot of podiums, getting a lot of top 10s, being on
He's a
lead card
new
after
man.
lead card after lead card, right? And he's probably watching this right now, texting Nick Moore, and I got to say this, but it's tough to
Evan
say.
had the backtrack there. He's like, oh no, Simon's watching.
He's a new man. There is a lot that's changed, and as far as like, I think your perspective on life, the way after you've rehabbed, just a whole bunch of things. Simon, I don't know you that well. I'm kidding, but I think there is a change. So whether you get 4 wins or not, that's a roll of the dice. Underperformed then, or we're saying overperformed. I still think he does better than he did in 2021. Well, that's an easy one, right? 2021 was like, no, okay.
Wasn't that like injury?
Yeah.
So compared to this year, yes, we hope the best, but TF4 wins is nuts. I mean, that tied the best out there with the Elite Series.
Mhm.
And maybe he does it again. Simon, prove us wrong, get 6. All right.
Prove me right.
Okay. Who else overperformed? This is interesting because I feel like to do this, you don't have to stay in the top 20.
Gannonburr.
Yeah,
Gannon.
feel free to bring it up. It's an interesting conversation
Yeah.
here.
No, I
Let's hear
definitely do. Gannon had an incredible season, like consistent all year. Won a major, lost an Elite Series event in a playoff. I mean, had a phenomenal year. And so this is where it's like, okay, this is where the word overperforming sounds bad because like he played incredible. I think he did overperform a little bit to what his expectations are of what we perceive of him. But at the same time, like I could see him going down and getting 5th in the Disc Golf Pro Tour points, not winning any Elite Series events or majors. Like
So
I don't
one
think he
place
wins.
worse.
Yeah, but that's the thing. Like, I don't want to say like his
So,
bounce back
yeah.
or his letdown.
Okay.
Like, I don't think he's going to go from 4th place
That's
to
fair.
16th place. Like, I think he would stay in the top 10.
That's fair.
But at the same time, I do think that he kind of
Wow.
overperformed, and like you could say kind of the same thing about Isaac Robinson, like someone who literally not a lot of people had really ever heard of. And then went out to get 2nd place at the Pro Tour Championships, won Idlewild this year, an Elite Series event, in a year that it was very hard to win Elite Series events.
And he obliterated.
And like,
that.
yeah, like he played incredible. I think that it's weird. Like you don't want to say he super overperformed, but I definitely think he performed better than
Expected.
he
for
sh-
sure. Yeah.
I want to bring this up
stats
though.
wise.
If Gannonburr did not win USDGC, and he ends the year with 0 elite and major wins, sure he can still have Masters Cup.
Mhm.
Do you think he overperformed?
If he doesn't win anything like the big ones,
Yeah, but he
No,
was
I-
consistently top 10 all year.
yeah,
and
no,
looked
I don't
great.
think he overperforms if he doesn't win anything. Like I think those wins that he got, or excuse me, that win that he got, kind of set it over the edge in a sense of like, for how young he is. I think that's kind of why, and not his lack of experience because he obviously has incredible experience with it, but more so, I would say I wasn't expecting him to win kind of so soon. I mean, the youngest player ever to win the USDGC, that's an incredible feat in and of itself. So for how well he played consistently all year, I wouldn't be surprised if he went from like 4th to 6th or 7th.
Right.
Well, it's like
You know what I mean?
it's
And that's
like-
where, and that's literally just not winning the major
Yeah,
when it comes to
yeah.
those points and stuff like that. So
It's like with mid-year Paul, everyone's saying he's washed, but he was like maybe finishing like 10th. It's just expectations when you're that good. Same with Kevin Jones. When you're expected to play that good, finishing in these positions is a dream to some lower level players. Where it's like,
Mhm.
I wish that would be a hot season for them. So
Okay. But I'm okay to move from MPO, and I'm just going to say these 2 names, and we'll see where they land with you guys. Is Corey Ellis overperform and
Mhm.
Aaron Gossage. Now,
Goose.
it's interesting because
now, did he overperform for the year or at one tournament?
Yeah, I think we got to separate that out, just like the
yeah,
Gannonburr.
Corey-
I'm not saying.
so
I'm
that's
saying
it.
that. I'm
No,
saying
I'm
the
curious.
year. I'm saying the year.
Okay.
I know, obviously, Worlds
I
was a
gotta, now I
great
gotta
performance,
go back and look
But,
at
like,
Aaron's year.
but I feel like, and maybe it's recency bias in general, but he played well in the last half of the season. Like actually, to where I was like, well, dang, he's actually showing us like it wasn't a here's the Nick and Matt show fluke at Worlds. Like I feel like he was backing it up, and we saw him show up to, wasn't it? What was the event? Not SFO. What's that called now? OTB Open.
OTB Open.
Um,
Yeah, but he
Yeah,
did
he got
really
third
well
place at
there.
OTB,
in-
which is
2021
where he kind
as
of
well.
got. Yeah, it's where he kind of got his name.
Yeah, all for my take on it is if you're going to say he's going to charge for Worlds or even a major and is going to lead it by 3 strokes in the final round and have it go to a playoff, I would say that's not going to happen next year and that this was an overperformance. But if you take that one performance out and over the whole season, I would say, yeah, that's what I expect next year and maybe a little bit more growth. But I think it's totally fair overall. I mean, it's what we wait Worlds, right?
Right.
What about Clemonade? Matt mentioned that. I think he overperformed. I think that was a little insane. That I was not expecting to be top 10 at all this year.
So those are the names. Corey Ellis, I throw out there. Kid played his heart out, played really well, but anyways, we don't have enough to break those ones down. But FPO, I'll start the conversation there. FPO own. Now,
When
I say own,
So
I want to be clear. this is an interesting twist on the overperform. I don't think she's going to be as high in the point standings next year, but I don't think she's actually going to play like worse for her skill level. I think there's going to be a number of women here who are going to outperform her next year. So it's weird to say that it's an underperform or an overperform for her this year. If you know what I'm saying. Like, I feel like she's going to play her same skill, but I feel like others are going to outperform her. So it's going to look like she overperformed this year compared to next year. Anyways, any other FPOs, or do you agree? Or
I think that's totally
I
fair.
agree with Owen on that.
Yeah, I think it's totally fair because we're seeing FPO get good so quickly, and just the last couple years, it's been exploding with all these talent. Where if you just stay at your same skill level, you're going to fall in placement. And I mean, we'll see it on MPO as well, but I think it's a little bit more exaggerated in FPO. I think that's a good one. Part of me wants to say Kristen Tatar. I don't think she's going to be as dominant next year. I think she's going to miss the podium at least one event, right? Like, that's going to happen.
Whoa, hot take.
But-
The fire
Yeah.
on the screen.
But I think it
see if
is
I
likely
can.
she's still the number one player next year.
Yeah.
So I'm not
way
going to go too hot there.
overperformed this year.
But I do like her. She was so dominant this year. We're going to go back and talk about how dominant she was. Like, if she really was. And yeah, she missed part of the season, so it's hard to have it be, a perfect season. But she was really dominant, and I don't know.
No
I
more
could see
fire.
her finishing 8th twice.
Clarity,
She missed. Hey, I'll tell you this. She missed the podium twice.
clarity
Yeah,
for
the
the clarity for the
DNF.
chat. And I know
Skill
the
shot
chat.
challenge.
Oh
winning
my
competition.
goodness.
Missed the
Okay,
podium.
and a DNF.
And a DNF,
some
yeah.
European
The
Open.
chat is a
But
very
please.
small percentage of our audience, like very small, but we love the live chat. But I want to just say, because if someone in the live chat saying this maybe outside in the real world of podcasting, others are feeling this. We are talking about overperforming this year, but the way that we're basing if it's an overperform means that we're saying next year, 2023 season won't be as high. That's how we're doing it. It's like the year before, and then this year they did really well, and next year we're going to see them go back down. So that's why we're bringing up the other years. So I do think Owen is an overperform in that sense. I think she's going to go back down, but again, not necessarily due to poor performance, but because others are going to outplay her this year coming. So
Really quick, my last point on this, and this is actually going back to the underperforming, and I think this is a name that we all kind of just let slide under the radar, but especially the back half of the year, Paige Pierce, very, very much underperformed. And I don't expect that out of her next year. Now, I'm not saying she played bad, because if you look at her stats, there's a lot of tournaments where she still did very well in. She won 2 majors this year. I think won 2 or 3 Elite Series, or 2 Elite Series after that. Like, had an amazing, amazing year. And Evan can give us all the stats about the arguments for Player of the Year, stuff like that.
she won
But-
5 events.
I'll let Hannah do that.
Yeah, but towards the back half of the year, she, I would say 1,000% underperformed. Like, it didn't look like we were watching Paige. And it's funny because, like, we were talking about Owen playing such a great year. Like, Owen is the second highest rated player in the world right now at 975. And I think that's wild for how
Yeah.
she has talked about her game, or like how her gameplay actually is. I think it's insane, but she makes putts and she actually throws the disc very well driving wise. And you could call her form a little bit janky, those knife over forehands, but at the same time, hey, she makes it work.
I mean, you can call
So-
my
and she
shots
makes
janky
putts.
too, and I make them work.
Dude, she makes putts.
So in fact, maybe my game is similar to Owen's, and I'm proud of that. That's fine. And I'm not even as
Yeah.
good as her. My rating's
Yeah.
like 40 less than her now. But here's what I wanted to throw on the Paige Pierce thing. I get the supporting, like, why you're saying that. I get it. And I think what you said is accurate. But let me just put it out there, my spin on it. Are we literally saying if Paige is anything but first, she underperformed? Or are we saying, no, Matt, we watched how these rounds finished and it was definitely underperforming? You know what I mean? Like, it's not
no,
the
Matt,
fact.
we watched how these
Yeah.
rounds finished, and she definitely
So it's not
underperformed.
that the fact that she got second place. It's that you're literally saying, like, I watched her performance and it's underperforming.
Yeah, some of the tournaments, especially the ones where she dropped down outside of the top 10, was kind of just like, who is playing right now? Who's in Paige's body, and can she come back to normal disc golf again? Because that Paige Pierce is incredible to watch. The circle 2 putts, and just I think sometimes her decision making is, I'm just going to be blunt again, it's horrendous sometimes on the decisions that she makes on when to go for something way too aggressive or not. I think just plenty of times this year it bit her in the butt, and hopefully the same thing with how Simon completely changed around, honestly, his career, with how him having a career year this year, was toning back the game and playing the better shot. And look at what it did for him. So,
Okay.
anywho.
Evan, how's the Pats game?
My internet was cutting out, so I felt bad and turned it off. Or else I
Well,
would
we're
have
gonna
it.
wrap it up. We're gonna wrap the
It
show.
stopped. It stopped for like 2 minutes. I'm like, oh shoot! Like Ben already chewed me out. Like,
Yes.
Dude, it's all good.
I don't
if
mind
you
looking
wanna do
away
that.
Can someone give us
occasionally,
the Pat
but I'm
score?
How
'Cause I'm
often
not
is there a
having-
Monday night
Come on,
game?
chat.
I mean, so okay.
once a season.
We made it to
Real
this
quick
point.
though, Celtics 3-0. Everyone else in the NBA sucks
Let's
compared to them.
go.
They are freaking killing it. It's funny because as I've gotten to know Evan over the last few years, I feel like at this point, and how
Skull buffs.
big of a stats guy he is, I have like stats accounts that I follow on Twitter for NBA stuff. And every so often, then I also see like Evan must follow them too, because he'll be like, Evan Kearns liked this, and it's some
Nice.
ridiculous stat about NFL or NBA or something like that. Anyways,
Nice.
so
That's what
So-
it's about.
Thank you to our sponsors again, DG Max Wax, and for the show episode sponsor 112. Thank you to CosmicDG.com or Cosmic Disc Golf. You can find them at Instagram. Thank you for them for sponsoring this episode. The format here for like off season will probably be similar in nature. If we feel like there's a decent interview to line up, we will. If not, we won't. We didn't even do stat or fiction tonight, which I know you had lined up, Evan. I feel so bad.
Oh my goodness!
But we
Yeah, I
went
have it
2
lined
hours.
up. That's all right.
We'll save it.
I can save it for next episode because
Thank
it
you.
wasn't,
We're already at
There
2
we go.
hours.
It's a fan
wasn't
favorite.
like event specific.
my
Oh,
stomach knows
wow.
we're at 2 hours because
We're
I'm
at 2 hours.
starving and
Yeah.
I'm rushing to Chipotle
This
after
is a
this.
quick game or
A quick
whatever.
game.
Quick,
Yeah.
quick
yeah.
podcast.
Yeah, no.
All right. So we're done for tonight. We will talk again. The off season does present sometimes episodes we leave off. In fact, can I just tease this out there right now? Either you guys hold down the show without me or we don't do the show. Either way, it's fine. You guys are
I'll
able to
hold
do it.
it
The reason why I
down.
bring it up is because Halloween, my kids dress up as some costume character and then they go out. It's on Monday night.
Oh, Halloween.
Yeah. So, I mean, we could come
All right.
on the show
We're
dressed
not
up.
doing a show next week
Yeah, not on Halloween.
Okay. So,
because I wanted to take the week off anyways.
well, if Nick wants to, then we all do. No, the point is if I'm taking it off and Nick wants to. So tentatively, if you've listened to this far in the show, be aware we might not. And if
And
that's
then
the
it's
case,
the Evan
Yeah.
and Ben show, is what you're saying.
that's all right.
I
There
think
you
it might
go.
just
It's
be the
finally
Ben
happening.
only show.
The
I
Ben
gotta,
only.
yeah.
Oh,
Yes.
That-
Evan's going trick or treating, dude.
yeah, right.
And
Like we
Ben's
might
gonna
just
be
have
the
a
McDonald's
Matty O
Ronald
and Gannon
McDonald.
Bird.
Yeah.
wait.
Get Gannon
I have
Burr
a
on and do
video
an
to
interview
edit
with him.
for the Nick and Matt show, so maybe that I'll upload that Monday. That'll
Premiere
be the
it.
content.
Ooh,
There you go.
and don't forget to edit the other video too. No
Yes.
spoilers.
The other video.
Me and Evan basically went up to Westy Acres and recorded special videos.
Oh, wait.
Nice.
We got to go. Just 1 through 10. How did you feel, Evan? You're pretty transparent with how you feel about courses. 1 through 10.
You know, okay, Westy Acres is in the
Backyard
chat a lot.
course.
I don't know if they are
Say
tonight,
backyard
but
course.
it's a backyard course, and I remember they used to have homemade baskets, and I was a little bit scared of going there, but I was very surprised. It was like for being again a backyard kind of owned property course, it was very well done. There was a few holes that you kind of feel like you're over the top of another one, kind of the first couple and last couple, but
But it was fun.
I really liked it. Yeah, I
Okay.
did. I think they could do a really good job making it 18. I know having 21 is really cool, but
Okay.
there's
I'm going to get
a
out
few
there.
were too short.
I'm excited. We
But I
always
think
see
it's
them in the chat.
very. I really liked it.
Yeah,
I
I
did.
was seeing them in the chat.
All right.
Nice.
There's a lot of.
Shameless plug time
Wow.
on my end, and then we're gonna end it. If anyone in the chat is going out, or anyone who's listening to the podcast platform right now, or excuse me, afterwards. Long story short, Discura will be vending out at the Lake Marshall Open. We're super excited for it. We actually did vending this last weekend, got a ton of support, but you can always support us at DiscuraDG.com. If you use the code Nick and Matt, you do get 10% off your order. So do not forget to do that, because 10% off of anything is an incredible thing. We'll be at Lake Marshall vending. I'm going to be playing. I'm also going to help vending when I can. It's a super fun time, and we
Who's-
have these awesome new pullovers.
Who's Robo Turner?
that quarter zips.
Who's Robo Turner?
I don't know why.
Come to Lake Marshall this weekend.
Yo,
Matt.
if anyone can fly Matt
Well, yeah,
out,
it's
he's
sick.
down.
Yeah, no, I'm not. I
It's sick.
travel
All right,
too
fly
much.
me out. Pay for my ticket. I'll be there.
All right,
Yeah,
we
I'm,
made it to
I'm
that point.
stoked to go back there. Anyway, shameless plug, DiscuraDG.com. Use code Nick and Matt. We still have some awesome GK Pro Skin shirts that we released a few weeks ago. Anyways, thank you everybody for tuning in on this wonderful Monday night. Episode 112 presented by Cosmic Disc Golf. Check them out at CosmicDG.com. Check us out on all your favorite podcast platforms. Keep coming in the chat Monday night, talking to us live. We loved it. Jeff Spring was an awesome interview. Don't forget to leave a thumbs up on the video. Tell someone you love them this week, and we will catch you in the next one.
That's right, everybody. Ben, you're awesome. Nick, you're awesome. Evan, you're awesome. Let's check out the Pats. Peace out, everybody.
Yes, sir. The Nick and Matt Show, a disc golf podcast designed for you, the disc golfer. Find the Nick and Matt Show on your favorite podcast platforms or join the conversation live on YouTube.